Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Nerds and Words. I'm your host, Melon1337, and as always, and today's special, we are joined by Potion Shop TV.
Yo.
And our good friend Moreland TV.
I just realized I forgot to ping Discord, so I'm doing that.
Okay. We've got a lot of really good content. We have major content updates for BDO, and we have some happenings inside and out of BDO in the gaming world as usual. So let's break the ice and get this started with Moreland smiling like an idiot. How was your week?
Don't go to me first. I'm pinging Discord.
Yeah, well, you should have been a little more prepared. Potion, how was your week?
My week has been good. I have acquired a pin Griffin helmet now, so we're doing good. Got another gain this week, and currently trying to work on pin beds gloves. That's what I've been working on. Just a whole bunch of grinding. Upgraded to Histria instead of Schultz Guard for my primary grind spot. So hopefully we can get a pin beds gloves here before the next podcast. That's what my goal is.
I'm sorry, you went your new grind spots where?
I'm going to Histria.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm doing main rotation there. I'm trying to get my trash up. My problem is right now when I stream, I lose like 1,000 trash an hour, and then when I'm not streaming, I make way more. I don't know why that's working that way. I don't get it. But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Do you lose a lot of trash per hour when you stream, Marlon?
You know, it's kind of like how I can only go invisible when no one's looking.
I kind of get that.
Nobody?
I get that. Like I also go into my coffin and lay in there when I'm off my stream. So, you know, I get that. Yeah, everybody has a special little thing.
It's a hilarious movie reference.
Oh, I don't watch movies. I only play BDO. Sorry.
It's a very old movie.
What's happened to this podcast?
Before most of you were born.
Yeah, I didn't get the reference.
From like 2003, so most of you weren't alive yet.
What movie is it for people who don't know?
Mystery Men.
Mystery Men?
With Ben Stiller.
Man, I only watched Anchorman and Zoolander from like 2002 to 2007. So I missed quite a few movies. But I'm sure that was
we don't need to dwell on it.
So yeah, what's your trash per hour roughly?
My highest so far is 4,600 with Loot Scroll. That's what I'm pulling right now with Loot Scroll. I think I might be able to get like 5,000, but I need to practice more.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, normally what I'm pulling is around like 3,500 to like 4,000, depending on how focused I am. But yeah, I don't think I can go much faster than that because I think my main limitation right now is my sorceress's mobility. So I have to figure out how to move faster between packs, and that's just not something. There's not much mobility on sorceress, so I'm kind of limited there. I think basically like I have one ability that I can basically use, my Rebounding Darkness, but if I have movement speed with it, it goes like twice as fast. So cast speed, movement speed helps it a whole lot. So I'm using that to kind of move between packs, but I can't always have my Black Spirit Rage or anything like that going 24/7. So I'm trying to figure out how to balance that a little better.
Well, you've never been much of a grinder, right? I mean, like you have through, but it's just been like sausage. You've never been like, how much trash per hour can I get?
I went to Sakurai for about like 400, 800 hours, something in between there.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there I was pulling, I think about 4,000 trash before that was easy. Nowadays, 4,000 trash is like, that's nothing. Where's the 5,000 trash? You know, where's that at?
Yeah, 4,000 is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, congrats on the pen helmet.
Thank you. Yep. Hopefully get that pin bags. So, Moreland, you did a really interesting thing. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast start. It was a fundraiser. And can you talk about that for a little bit? That's what it was about, what you did?
Yeah, so it was like a sponsored stream / fundraiser. So it was partnered with both Schick and St. Baldrick's. So Schick was paying all the money for everything, but basically they were donating money to St. Baldrick's based on how many people would download their mobile game, which was like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a Temple Run, like reskin where you dodge shaving pillars and try to get points. It's a super simple game. But yeah, so brand awareness for Schick and then fundraising for St. Baldrick's. So a bunch of people downloaded that and got Schick to donate a bunch of money. And then the stream also donated about $400 out of pockets to St. Baldrick's. So yeah, that was a nice productive week.
Awesome. And
I saw
go ahead.
I saw that what's his name? Biohack got a Pin Black Star.
He did, just in time for me to hit my Pin Vanguards too. I'm ready to go, baby. I got my 400 DP meme build. As soon as this global lab drops, I'm ready for it.
Ah, man.
So you're planning on buying that from Biohack, right? You're planning on buying his Pin Black Star eventually?
Yeah, not right away. He wants to grind Ash Forest with it on his Archer, which we'll see if he likes that more than Valk or whatever he was using before. But eventually, yeah, he's gonna sell me one of his 2 Pin Black Stars. We don't know which one yet. So quit trying to snipe it. I saw somebody went and put an order up on the crossbow as soon as he made it. You're not gonna get it. He's not selling it to you. Take your order down.
Anything else cool this week you did?
I managed to liquidate 5 billion silver over the course of a few hours just by standing in town selling things. So I really didn't realize how much stuff I had piled up in this game over the last couple of years that I forgot that I had. I don't even think I'm halfway through selling it. So that's cool. I apparently am much wealthier than I thought. I only need like another 18 bill or so to be able to afford the Pin Black Star now. So we're getting pretty close.
I just went to my bank and casually sold 5 billion worth of items. Wasn't I maybe only halfway through.
It was pretty fun. I was making $1 billion an hour just selling things out of the storage.
Well, motivation
awesome.
to grind again. That's cool.
Yeah. And the Pin Vanguards, as I mentioned. I got a Pin Vanguard, so I'd like the 4th attempt, so that was pretty cozy.
Wait, what? That one that was like been Pry for years is now finally a pin?
Yeah, it's the oldest piece of gear that I have. I've had it since the first week of the game. None of my other items are nearly that old.
I've watched you enhance that for years. Actually, years. You're telling me you're not going to enhance it anymore? Oh.
It's got my name on it. I almost bought one, and then someone in chat was like, well, it's cheaper to buy it, but it won't have your name on it. And I was like, dude, I forgot about names on pins. And so, yeah, luckily I'd swung on it myself and got super RNG carried and made it for like, a few $100 million instead of the 2 bill market price. So that was cozy.
I've been
considering that too.
Yeah, I've been slowly becoming an amalgamation of everyone in the video community. I have like random pin names on all my pins now. One is www, and I'm pretty sure that's a bot account. And this other one is Type Moo 2, and I'm pretty sure his Type Moo 1 got banned. So,
so you're an RMTer.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when you look at my stuff. I'm questioning if I should continue buying them off the marketplace to kick out my ass. So Tim, what have you been doing?
I had an interesting week. I actually started my season character. I wanted to go for Pen Kudum on 110 stack because I have a 155 and a 182. I'm like, I think 155 is too much for a Kudum. And then I pulled out my Kudum to enhance it. I'm like, it's not. It's not. So I've been going for Pen Kudum, but I one-tapped 4 Tuvaletets in a row and then got 2 more after that. Like I failed one and then I got 2 more after that in one tap.
Wow. So now they did change the odds on that. Is it because you think of the odds, or are you actually being RNG carried? I don't know what the odds are.
Well, it's like I was using 40 stacks, and so it was just turning a 40 stack into a 60 stack with one tap. It was pretty awesome.
Hey, that's some good luck.
It was 25% chance. So
you basically went to the season server, and now you're going to have the offhand at pin, and then you're going to turn that into when you graduate into like a Kudum for you to go and make a pin Kudum.
No, I'm doing this to get 5,000 quests, but I figured it'd be fun to fuck around with some season stuff. I got the Changa Tome, and I'm gonna look up my friend Potion Shop TV's guide on how to get to 61 using quests, and I'm gonna do that.
I literally just leveled my Guardian to 61 this week through doing that, and it was not enjoyable. I was planning on doing it in 5 hours. It took me like 11 hours, and I was like,
To go from what to what?
I went from 26 to 61 in like 10, 11 hours.
Oh, okay.
So I was hoping to do it in 5. But I broke my previous record was 18 hours, so I did do it faster than previously. So I'm going to try to do it in less than 11 hours when Hashashin comes out on September 2nd. So looking forward to that. I want to do faster. It's a little bit of practice this time,
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing because I'm super excited for Hashashin to come out, and I'm definitely. Oh God, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm going to work really hard on making a bunch of guides and stuff again. So I figured it wouldn't be a bad idea to at least get an idea of how the mechanics work. So that was most of my week. I've been pretty burnt out of grinding, so it's been nice just playing some Overwatch and just kind of doing whatever the hell I want.
I've been seeing you go
frag
ham.
in it.
You've been going ham on Overwatch. You've actually been killing it.
Yeah, and I top fragged in a T1 Node War last week too. That was really fun. I've been really enjoying the T1 Node Wars. So I'm having a lot of fun streaming and playing BDO. And before we get on with the rest of the podcast, I do just want to shout out to you guys that I really appreciate and love doing this podcast. And I'm grateful to be working with two quality human beings, and I consider you guys friends, and I appreciate your time, and I have a lot of fun doing this.
I mean, I think that goes
me
both
too,
ways.
Tam.
It goes both ways. I mean, I think this is like a highlight of my week every week. I look forward to it and showing up and seeing every guys. And if I show up a little late because I sleep in.
Yeah, Potion Shop wakes up like 7 hours early for this podcast, so it must really mean a lot to him.
So anyway, that's what I had for my week.
Well, awesome. Now, you said I wanted to actually talk about the T1s a little bit. There's been this rumor going around that actually you still have AP and stuff that scales in T1s. And this wasn't really part of what we had to talk about. I wanted to see if you guys actually believe that rumor. Do you think it's true that actually AP
I've been
scales?
spreading it.
Yeah.
Well, so when we fought against Corrupt last week, it was either like they were all capped and they were way tankier, or just the fact that they had more gear actually played into it. So I can't really tell, but like when I'm fighting crawling critters or whoever that guild was that we were fighting, I could clap them pretty easily. Mm-hmm. But when it was Corrupt, it was pretty tough. Oh, I did my entire 600 HP book too. That's a lot of fun, having so much extra HP in T1s. I'm a fucking raid boss, dude. It's awesome.
How long did that take you?
It wasn't too long. The hardest part was getting making the tri blue coral earring from the RNG boxes. But I used like, I don't know, 20 crons, and it took less than an hour. So it was probably a 5-hour thing for 600 HP.
Do you feel like it was worth making all those yourself instead of buying them? I was looking at the market prices and they seemed a little high.
They were sold out. Are they on there now? You could actually make decent money. Yeah, there's a couple on there now. It only cost me 50 mil to make it, I think. So, but yeah, there's some on there now. I see that, but I just do it myself. I thought the whole thing was worth it, 600 HP. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't really like running around to all the different places and doing the exploration thing, but I don't know. I was motivated to get it done. So whatever. Now I've got 5,000 HP when I freaking do T1 nodes.
I loved the puzzles in book 2, I think, or book 1, whichever one had the puzzles. Dude, I had so much fun with those.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I really just wanted to get the HP, so I just blew through them. Also, my level 52 PvP on Season server with all this HP is super funny. Just like hitting each other with wet noodles, and I've just got a ton of HP, then a HP pot clicks off. I made it so somebody couldn't like turn in their quest for 30 minutes yesterday. It was
well done.
Just channel swap, dude. Like, why are you here?
I think my favorite thing I've seen this week is actually at the Termain Beach. Milk Susu was firing cannons from his boat and killing people on the shoreline with his boat. I thought that was my favorite thing I've seen this week from this one. Did. Yeah, if he was out there just like negative 1 million karma, just like pegging people, just killing them one over another, pow, pow, pow.
And his boat glows red now. Did you guys see that update?
Yeah, I actually thought that was a really, really good update.
One of the best.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about from your guys' weeks, or you want to start jumping into the topics of the week for the podcast?
Let's get into it. I'm warmed up.
All right. Well, I think that's a good thing. The ships glow red now. That's a good place to jump into it. That they added it where if you're negative karma, they glow red. I think this is probably one of the biggest quality of lives for the ocean, because now if you see somebody, you know if they're going to be like likely to come in and kill you. Because if you're negative karma, you're committed. On the ocean, you're not going to recharge that anytime soon. So I think that's a good update, as long as you can see it from far enough away and everything.
Now you can drive those boats with any character, right? It doesn't really matter. So if you were about to go negative, you could just switch to a different character. Although I guess you'd have to go dock and go back out there. But do people do that? Do people juggle karma on the ocean, or do they just go negative and not care?
From what I hear, people just have one negative karma ult, and then they tag characters. So then, whenever they want to be negative karma, they're on the tag character. And whenever they don't,
that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah.
So they can pretty much avoid all negative consequences of being red while just griefing the shit out of people with impunity, pretty much.
I'm not sure about how it works. People told me that you can't tag a positive karma and negative karma, but I think people are just using maps because you have the regular map and you have the Oasis map, and they don't have the same cooldown. So you can just teleport there, and as long as you don't have anything on your boat, you just grab your boat, and then you swap characters, and you're good to go. And you can do that every, you have 2 characters with 2 map cooldowns, so that's, I don't know, that's like 4 maps you have access to just make sure to do whatever you want to do.
That took you a while to do that math in your head.
Listen, all right.
2 characters, 2 maps. All the equations start going through his head.
I have no idea why I'm so slow today.
Yeah, I don't know. I think going up to these podcasts drunk, Potion. It's really getting out of hand.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I think overall though, I think they just need to have some type of punishment mechanic in there, right? Like you have longer respawns. You don't have as much parlay, or you use more parlay if you're negative karma. I think something like that, where you have some type of negative consequence, will encourage people not to do that quite as much. Because right now, you just kill people for fun, right?
They'd have to turn off a tagging system, wouldn't they? Because you could, no matter what consequences they put, all you do is just tag your blue.
Yep.
And boom, you skip all the consequences.
So I don't know. I think there needs to be do something like that. I'm not sure the exact answer. Maybe you can't use maps for negative karma. Maybe be a solution. You'd have to talk to someone who does it all the time. Like I think we're just too detached to really understand it fully. And I feel like if we can't figure it out, how a good solution, there's no way Pearl Abyss is going to figure it out by looking at some data on a spreadsheet.
Hey, you know what? Boat content kind of sucks, and good for them for having some fun with it. So
I do think that adding something is definitely pushing in the right direction. I think they've been missing boat content in BDO for years, and now we have bartering, and at least it's a step in the right direction, right?
Sure.
My chat also told me that I say right so all the time. So if you guys want to have a good drinking contest, go hang out and watch one of my VODs, and you can just count the number of times to say right. Yep.
Yeah, don't drink every time he says right, because that's you'll kill yourself. So.
It's true. I'm conscious of it now. Every time I say it, I think of it because I get reminded of it all the time. It's like it's terrible. So anyway, I said right a second ago. That's why I started thinking of it. I'm sorry.
Our podcast would be 30% shorter if you didn't say right.
No, I'm gonna think about it the entire podcast now.
Right.
All right, let's get to the next topic. They added some major content updates in quotations this week. They're amazing. The major content update this week, the first one was you can now teleport the crow's nest from Velia. Do you guys know how this works? But that's the first major content update, so we should definitely address it. I think it's very important.
I kept saying that I was going to go out there when they added the teleporter, and then they added the teleporter. And I still haven't gone out there. I don't know. I just got distracted by everything else, I guess. Got distracted by, the patch and the Vanguards and everything else. But yeah, I don't know. I've heard that you're teleporting to the arena, but you still have to sail to Crow's Nest for the quests. So I'm not quite sure what problems this solves. It might only solve half of the need to go out there. The other half might still be, I don't know how often you need to visit Crow's Nest. Maybe you only have to do it whenever you're like turning in seals or whatever. But yeah, it seems to be kind of like a partial solution, but hopefully it takes care of most of the travel required. I honestly haven't tried it yet, though. Maybe people in chat now.
In BDO, we call that a solution.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Maybe it's a step in the right direction. I still think the core issue with it all is the fact that you have to go out there daily. If I could charge up like Agris Fever and get like 30 charges and just go out there and cycle through 30 of those at once, and it's making sure I get 1 charge a day when I log in, I think that'd be what I'd be looking for. Because I'd still be able.
It should definitely be more like Dark Rifts, where it's once every week or two. And you get a huge chunk of rewards for doing it. We don't need more daily tasks in the game, especially if those tasks involve, going out into the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, but the ocean needs content, Marlon.
I don't think the ocean does need that type of content. Like the ocean needs ocean content. The ocean doesn't need land content. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. I still think they need to come up with like flippers where you can swim underneath the water, like with 200% speed. Or
no,
something
we
like
need
that.
a dream horse that walks on water. That's what we need. I can't believe this.
Jesus horse.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
a water chocobo.
Water chocobo. There's a lot of good ideas that come up in this podcast. Real good ideas.
Why haven't they hired me yet?
I don't know. They would. You're probably just too expensive for them. That's probably what it is. They don't have much money these days.
Minimum wage is real high in Korea.
So the other major update this week was early graduation from the season server. I honestly can't believe they even called this a major update. It just. Congratulations! You can now graduate early, and you get less content. You get to graduate the content early.
It's more of a major content update than about 3/4 of the other major content updates we've had this month. So I mean,
that's true. I guess
major content update. You can skip our content.
What are the requirements to actually graduate, though? Are there any requirements? Can you just do that whenever?
You just do it whenever.
Yeah, level 9. It was gonna let me do it at level 9. I talked to Fugar. I was like, "Yo, what's up, Fugar?" He goes, "Yo, you want to graduate early?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, I got so much stuff to do." He's like, "Oh, bet, but I'll be here like anytime you want." So it was cool.
Well, that's pretty good then.
You can. One thing I was happy to see though is that you can get your end of season rewards, or at least some of them. You can get the 100 stack and the pin Kaposha without graduating early. So that was good because I thought I was going to have to wait till the end of the season to get my fancy new ring. So
how do I get my fancy new ring? Is it from the Fugar quests?
Yeah, you have to finish the 40th Fugar quest, and then you do one more non-daily quest after that that's available right away, and he just gives you a ribbon, and you turn the ribbon in for a Kaposha.
Got it. Okay. I'm on the path.
Well, that's actually a really good quality of life because, I mean, like a lot of people right now were asking, like, all right, if I start the season now, is it too late? Is it too late? Can I still get the pink Kaposha? And so having that reassurance that they can go ahead and continue, that means that even if you graduate and the season ends and you've already started, you can at least continue doing that, maybe even into season 2, which will be really good. Because that way you don't have to feel like you're missing out if you started, in the last month of the season.
Yeah,
I'm curious how that's going to work because they said you can continue doing the quests after the season ends. So is Fugar going to have 2 sets of quests next season? Like if with leftovers from season 1, or is there going to be a new season NPC that's not Fugar? I'm a little confused on that part.
I'm just
probably going to be his brother. I'm
very curious how long it's going to take. How long it's going to stay in the game? Are the season quests going to stay in the game forever? Right. So if you
as long as you start them in season 1, I don't think that they go away. At least that's what we've been told.
Well, I think that's actually pretty nice. I should just make a season character and delete them, and then just have the quest for my.
Get that pink Kaposha. It's the 100 stack too. Like even if you don't need rings, you can't pass up a free 100 stack. You've got to do those quests.
What day is how long is the 100 stack?
It's this. You get it at the same time as the pink Kaposha. You get it after the 40th quest.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just too good of a value to pass up. I mean, you can do it on your own at your leisure. So maybe I want to do part of it in season 1, part of it in season 2, and part of it in season 3, and then I'll get it done. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, very efficient. Yeah, so I'm happy I finally decided. I don't know why I was such a bitch. I was just so focused on grinding money back then. And I knocked out 2 Tet distortions in, I think the last podcast. I didn't get my second Tet distortion, but I got it the other day. So
nice.
I'm at 287 AP now. So I've just gotten like a fuckload of gear real quick. I'm super excited about it. And I just need Pen Kudum. And I'll be 289. But I don't know with all the... We'll get to the global labs and then I'll talk more about that, I guess. But
yeah, I was gonna say so, but we should wait.
Yeah, true. So the other thing they added this week was they called it something different. It's usually called the Termain Water Park, and this time they called it the...
Before that, one more season change. This is actually really good. I almost missed this. This is more of a major content update than more of the major content updates, but they rightfully gave it a single line. in the patch notes, like these other things should get. The cooldown for switching servers will now be applied separately for season servers and non-season servers. That's actually a high tier Oliviero dev who actually plays the game change. That is super good. I'm really glad they did that.
All right, so explain. I haven't played seasons, so I don't understand
Okay,
what
so
this does.
here's what happens in seasons. You like let's say that you just switched to the season server because you were playing your season character or whatever, and then you realized that you left an item on your non-season character, or you want to do some enhancing and your fail stack was on for some reason you needed to get on your non-season character. Well, you now have to wait 15 minutes to do that because you can't play your other characters on the season server. So there were a variety of situations where I'm like, I just screwed myself over. Now I have to wait 15 minutes. But they've separated the cooldowns between the season channels and the non-season channels. So I can freely switch back and forth between season and non-season. I just can't switch from like Calpheon 2 to Calpheon 3, but I can switch from Calpheon 2 to Season 2 as many times as I want. There's no cooldown.
Well, no. So if you go from Calpheon 2 to Season 2, then you can't go back to a normal until that cooldown is up.
That's such a good quality of life update. Now that I understand how that works,
I think you can go back to normal. You just can't go back to a different normal. So that the normal servers have their own cooldown and the season servers have their own cooldown. So if you're switching between the season servers, you're locked for 15 minutes. If you're switching between the normal servers, you're locked for 15 minutes. But you can go back and forth between the season channel and the non-season channel. I'm pretty sure.
So
it showed that I was locked out when I was doing it yesterday. It was like I forgot what server I was on, or else I would have clicked that server, but they're all X'd out.
I'll test it right now.
I think that's a really fantastic change, though, because that just allows you to compensate for so many mistakes. Because on regular servers, you don't have that problem because you can always just change characters whenever. Everybody can go to every server, but that's not true for seasons because you can only have season characters go to season servers. So I think that's a really good change overall.
I can't believe they implemented this. Honestly, it's so complicated. It must have taken so much development to make this right and not have like all these terrible glaring loopholes. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the underlying code is already there because it's on console, right? There's no cooldown on console, but having it where there's special rules for season and non-season.
No, that's not on purpose.
No, I definitely meant like just seasons in general and all the extra gear that they have and stuff like that. It's just it's a big project. I'm really kind of surprised overall. That's what I kind of meant.
Yeah, so I can freely swap back and forth. Hold on, maybe not.
Yeah.
So I just went from Calpheon 2 to Season something to Serendia 4, but now I can't switch to anything. So maybe it's not as good as I thought it was. It's a little better, but I guess not quite as.
You get like one grace change.
You burn one cooldown for season, and then you burn another cooldown for regular, and you have it shows them both at the top. Okay, so that's still better though. That still I think is enough to bail you out if you accidentally are stuck for 15 minutes somewhere.
Yeah, you get to make one mistake, but you can't make two mistakes, or you have to wait 15 minutes. I think that's good for the vast majority of players. Once they understand how that works, it won't be a problem anymore. That's really nice because I think maybe that's why they actually did the Narder's band update, right? Because that would again make it where your fail stacking isn't necessarily as much of a problem because you can just pack all those onto your Black Spirit, and then you have all your fail stacks available on your season character. So I think that might have been why they did that as well. Another quality of life for seasons, really.
God, I still love the hell out of that band. It's so nice, dude.
It's a pretty good band.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands.
I just hope they add more to it. I want to like it needs to be 8 there.
It needs to have 30 slots instead of 5.
Yeah, it needs to have way more. Maybe that's how they'll do it. They'll make it where they'll add 2 more pay-to-win ones, and they'll have one for the reward in Ordolito when you finish the quest line.
I don't know why they don't just treat it like maids. If someone wants to buy 30 maids, they can buy 30 maids. They should just let people buy 30 bands.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be disgusting. Who would ever buy 30 maids?
I have no idea. I only have like 16 transaction maids. All right, we're not. But that's not it.
Fucking casual.
Is there anything else I missed on the patch for seasons? think
No, it's just that one other thing.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. So the other major thing they added this week, which thankfully they didn't claim was a major update, was Terminating Water Park. Terminating Water Park is back, and they teased us with what's it? There's 2 new quests with Terminating Water Park this time. One where you get Aquila's Eye, which is one of the things you need for the new treasure item for your boat, where you get double incident cell or whatever it's called, breezy cell, double breezy cell. And then the other thing is they added, they hinted at us getting a new type of quest next week. You think it's going to be another fishing quest next week?
Wait, I didn't see anything about the double. Are you talking about the super rare double breezy item that's like impossible to get?
You need 1,000 of the flowers, the Aquila's flowers, or whatever. And there's a quest right now where you can do it daily, and you get 1 per day. So it kind of aids you on your journey of getting 1,000 of those, and you trade in 1,000 of those for an item that you need for the treasure item. So that's
interesting.
I think most people, it's not the bottleneck. Most people have a bottleneck by killing the sea monsters, the sea crocodiles, I think, for the item it drops from them. So I don't think it's the major bottleneck for most people, but it is something that helps people, if they're working on that.
Yeah, people who sail in my chat are saying it's basically useless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like the Aukman piece. Like everyone's gonna have it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I mean, I think it's just something. Like, I think what this is probably most targeted towards is like people who didn't know it existed. They're like, "What's that used for?" And then they go look it up, type it in on the internet, and figure it out. And then they're like, "Oh, okay."
I guess I know I'm every week I'm crying about something, but it's just like the Termian Beach, man. They could have made it cool. Like it's not that hard to add a carnival in the game that's cool. Other MMOs do that, and they add mini games and leaderboards, and like it feels like a copy and paste of the Termian Beach that we had last year and the year before and the year before that.
It's actually worse this year because they took away the food vendors, so you can't buy the event food from the food vendor anymore. And that was the main thing that I liked the Termian Beach for, because I could have an extra 5 AP or extra life EXP. And that's you can't do that anymore.
Alchemy time that you used to get from buying the fruit parfaits or whatever.
I miss it. I want it.
Big deal. Back in the day.
Yeah, so you can't do that anymore. I hope they add it back maybe next week, and maybe that's just a time-gated NPC, because the NPC's there, but he doesn't actually sell you the food anymore. So I'm hoping they just add that to him next week.
I remember the first time I started really watching your stream, Orlin, is you were in a competition with somebody doing the jump quest at the like the original Termian Beach thing.
Yeah, the jump puzzle was pretty fun.
Yeah.
No, I lost.
I think it can't be too hard to just rearrange the jumping puzzle, right? Like they should just make it every year where they rearrange it.
I told Blade that I wanted to race him on the platforms, and then I went out of town for a week. I don't remember why. I think that might have been when I went to Iceland or something. But I came back, and apparently he had practiced like 8 hours a day every day while I was gone.
God. What
and I came back and he was like, yeah, that's all I've been doing all stream is just streaming myself jumping from platform to platform. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
He earned that one. Holy shit.
And then I got to the very end. I was ahead of him in round 1. I got to the very end, and my character invented a new diving animation that I've never seen in BDO in my entire life. Did you know that there's a diving animation in this game?
Yeah, it's really hard to do. It's like
I found that out on platform 4 to 5 because in one of the jumps that I did, my character did a fucking swan dive instead of a normal jump, and that's why I fell off and lost. I still haven't recovered.
For people who don't know, I think the animation for diving in the game is W shift, jump, and then left click. I think that's the combination. You got to use some like crazy weird combination to do it.
I don't know what I did. There's still a dive command in my chat though. It's someone popped up immediately as I said that. Someone said exclamation time.
Perfect. Actually perfect.
Sorry to bring that traumatizing moment up for you.
Yeah, I actually I really hope that they start looking at some of these things. It wouldn't be hard to just like rearrange the platforms. Have some tester go out there and run it over a couple times, for an hour or two. I'm like, yep, I made it to the end, and then let it go. And then you have a brand new jumping puzzle every year. Just rearrange them a little bit. Maybe just have a different start position, different end position.
Yeah, don't give credits to any lawns who do it.
Exactly. Yeah, but lawns have to be disqualified.
It's not that other games do it. It's that this game used to do it, and it's it'd be nice to have that stuff again. But I have a tough time. My boomer brain with all those dailies so confusing. I don't know where I'm supposed to start, which ones are the right ones, and so I end up skipping most of that shit except for going for the parfaits. But
Now the good thing about Termain Water Park this time is they brought back the underwear thing. So underwear normally in BDO is pay to win for 1 luck. It's a big deal. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a big deal. So you can get that box. It takes you 6 days of dailies. You can get 5 of the Termain coins or whatever, or seals per day. And then after you get 30 of them, you can go to an NPC, trade them in, and you'll get an underwear box, and you can open that on any character in the game right now. And so that's a way for a free-to-play player to actually get +1 luck. And also, they have a quest where you can actually get a coral helmet, and that gives you also +1 luck. So there's 2 different ways of getting +1 luck at the Termain Water Park, and that's really, really good for new players who don't have that, either can't afford it through the pay-to-win, right? Or they just need some way to acquire it on a new character. So that's something that don't forget, and you definitely want to do that before the Termain Beach is gone. Do those dailies. It's only 6 days of dailies. So it's not too bad. So
just get a pet with luck.
Yeah, since the fairy came out, isn't the luck issue kind of? I'm not wearing any underwear.
You get 3 from titles, 1 from fairy. The 5th one you might still have to get from either underwear or pets.
Yep.
Do we have a 5th point of free luck? I'm not sure.
You have to have underwear or pets for it, or the
I do
helmet.
have a luck pet. I do have a luck pet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fairy was a big deal because it was the first time you could actually have 5 luck without popping a buff or having a crystal for it or something like that. So that was why the fairy was a big deal. So
getting a luck pet back in the day was, man.
Yeah, that was like
pen.
I'm gonna keep on swiping until I get it. Swipe. Then you get 1 luck pet and you're like, yes! Because then you knew on all characters you could get +5 luck without having it anymore.
Yeah, and if you got a pet with luck and combat XP, man.
Yeah, I definitely, that's where the majority of my pay to win went. I have 5 pets that have combat experience on them. That's exactly where all my pay to win went when I first started BDO, was that combat EXP. And nowadays I don't think it's even a big deal, honestly. With the 200% you get on the weekends, the XP from the pets is almost doesn't even matter.
I have 7 combat pets and then 6 life skill pets, all T4. They keep throwing a bunch of like free pets at us, and so I just keep getting like really good pets. But I didn't get a +1.
How many pets I have?
I didn't get a +1 luck pet until like 2 days after they introduced fairies. So that's kind of feels bad, but whatever. I still got one. I don't have to buy underwear. Anyway.
Yeah, so now that's about it for BDO this week. It's kind of light patch. Apparently over in Korea, they're having some like off days for a holiday or something. So our patches are going to be kind of light for the next couple of weeks. That's why they're doing the Termain Water Park, I guess, because it's easy content for them. Copy paste and maybe add an event.
They've been working really hard. They deserve a break.
Yeah, I think so too.
I just realized there was a line that said added a more special graphic effect when enhancing an item to tet or pen. I made a pen item, and I don't remember it being. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Are they talking about where it zooms into your black spirit? Where it zooms into your black spirit? Is it what they're talking about?
I don't know. I kind of want to go back and find the clip now because what was the new animation? Was it small?
Yeah,
I didn't notice anything when I was enhancing.
Yeah, I don't
know. Well, let's go into the next topic then, which is global labs, and this is actually huge. This is there's a lot to talk about here in the global labs. Where do you guys want to start? Because there's I don't know where to really start on it. It's a lot.
Well, the class balance is a whole rabbit hole. Maybe we talk about brackets first.
I think that's probably going to have the most easiest to understand and take the shortest amount of time. So let's do that. So what they did this week is they added new DP percentage when you get to a certain amount of DP. So now if you get to 401 DP, you're now going to get 40 DR. 40 DR.
30%.
Oh, 30%? I thought it was 40%.
30.
Okay, so 30% at 401 DP, where previously it capped out at 346 DP, I believe, and you got 20%. So it's actually a pretty substantial buff for the DP department. And then for AP brackets, they added more AP brackets past 309. Now it goes to 340 for AP brackets. And so you can get an additional like 10 or so AP from 10, 15 AP from doing that.
Did they adjust other ones below?
They did not adjust any of the previous AP brackets, and that's what I was really hoping for. I was hoping that they would kind of like, hey, we're going to give everybody a total of 200 AP, but now we're stretching it out up to 340 AP, right?
Yeah.
But so they increased the total amount of AP that you can get for free, and then they have increased the total amount of DR damage reduction percent that you can have as well. What do you guys think this is going to do to the game overall? I think the DP is the most interesting part, because that's going to be something that a lot of people can tap in for DP builds in particular.
I don't even think it's going to be for DP builds. I think people are getting to a point, especially Siege players, where they have 370, 380 DP just from Kafris levels on their Kudum AP builds.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if anyone's going to suddenly build specifically for 400 DP because of this and give up AP for it. But I do think it'll offer some extra motivation for people to push those Kafris levels past C9 on their armor. And I think it brings a little bit more viability into accuracy offhands like Vanguard's, because with people getting these extreme levels of evasion at high end, accuracy offhands are kind of making a comeback anyways. And now with the extra defense you get on those, you're kind of double dipping. So yeah, overall, I think it's a really, really good change. I still think that it's a bit of a band-aid. The fundamental problem has to do with the DR formula, and I wish they would fix that. But that's more of a long shot, I guess. So that since that's not going to happen, I think this is the next best thing. And the fact that the AP brackets are very, they're essentially small. They're almost nothing. The AP brackets, I feel like, are kind of just there to like be like, hey, look, you got something. Like, they're not really going to be high impact, but the DP brackets are going to have a pretty good impact. And I think that's good. I don't think we need AP to be buffed, but we do need DP to be buffed in this game. So I think it's definitely good overall.
Yeah, I'm really happy for the damage reduction percent. I like that a lot. I was kind of hoping that they would actually nerf AP brackets, and I kind of understand making them still scale up to 340 because there are people that are pushing that high when you look at full AP build, right? That's something that some people can actually reach. And I do think that's something that they should look at. But I was hoping actually they would actually nerf AP brackets a little bit to kind of help with the one-shot meta. Because, I mean, think about it. You get 300 AP and you're almost getting 200 AP for free. I mean, you're looking at, what was that, 40% of your AP coming from free AP at that point. And I think that's a lot. You don't see that on your sheet, but you're filling it.
The reason that's a problem is because of the way DR is calculated. If you have a high-end evasion build, you're actually countering those AP brackets pretty effectively. The reason why time to kill is still such a problem is because damage reduction basically stops mattering at a certain point against high levels of AP. So the underlying problem, I feel like, is still the way that DR is calculated. But they can't really nerf AP brackets because that'll nerf PvE, and people. Yeah. I think people will just get a lot saltier if the gear and the AP that they worked for suddenly is less effective. I think buffing DP psychologically is a lot easier for people to handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. Well, I mean, we've been saying, right? We've been saying that, buff DP, buff DP, buff DP. What is an Ook Pill of Rift? But now we have at least something. It's at least something. So how it affects the game, I don't know. I think evasion builds are going to be even more viable. You stack that 750 evasion or whatever, and then you just keep stuffing Kafras into your build. So now you're getting that 380 bracket or whatever it is, and 750 evasion. There's going to be some people out there that are going to be really hard to kill because of this. So
I'm just kind of curious in the power creep side of it, right? So I'm mainly right now I do PvE, which I think everybody's aware of. But the thing is, we're having this huge power creep in PvE. We're getting to the point where these supposed to be hard grind spots are now really, really easy grind spots. Like now, constantly people go in at 235 AP instead of 245 AP into Hystria and Akhman, and it's just becoming easier and easier and easier to grind those places. And I'm kind of curious if you think that if you want to go with the buffing mentality, do you think that maybe buffing the defenses of monsters would be a good way of handling that? Because would that be easier to handle than maybe nerfing people's classes. You're like, hey, we
No,
buffed the
nobody
DR.
wants their PVE rotation getting nerfed. I think the way that they solve that problem is just by adding more high-end content. Like Odalita should have grind spots that aren't irrelevant. That's the easy solution to old spots having power creep.
Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe reworking old spots like they did with abandoned monasteries in the proper way? Because then no one seems to have problems with doing that, and it's not like they buffed the old spots; they just reworked them entirely. Do you think that's like a good way of doing that?
Yeah, I think the abandoned monastery change is a good one. I just don't really see like power creep when it comes to PvE as an issue. Like, why do we care if people with 10 AP lower than last year are able to grind Histria because of higher skill modifiers? Is that really a problem? I mean, it's
well, I think the long term.
Marlon.
I think the long term. My concern is that we're in a year from now. There's gonna be a lot of people who are hard cap, or they're like maybe they're second best in slot gear. Like they're gonna be full pin, accessories, full pin armor, getting close to full C20. And I'm kind of concerned.
Even from now, there's not going to be that many people who are at that point.
I'm just kind of concerned, like what are going to give people to do, right? And if we're making it easier to grind money, then it's going to be easier to upgrade, and then it's going to feed into this problem that we have.
Have you been to Ash Forest yet?
I will be in Ash Forest in a couple months. It's not
even with fully Caphras armor, it's pretty fucking hard, dude. Like a little bit of a buff to DP, I don't think is gonna. If anything, it might bring more participation into a grind spot that currently has 0.001% of the population even attempting it. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that people are going to suddenly just walk over PvE content because DP has gotten buffed a little bit. And if that really is an issue, then just add Ash Forest too in the next expansion, right? Like if they're going to add a new region once a year, that's the opportunity where they need to be adding more interesting, challenging, or unique spots. Like Thorntree Castle needs to do that. We're banking a lot on Thorntree Castle, right? Like whether the PvE or the PvP aspect of that is particularly challenging. That's the opportunity that they have to do that. They need to do it in new content. I don't think they need to be retroactively going back and increasing the difficulty of old content. That's just going to leave a bad taste in the mouth of people who are currently enjoying those places.
Well, I guess when I'm suggesting that, I'm kind of thinking like Abandoned Monastery. They're reworking the Pirate grind spot. Schultz Guard got reworked. That's 3 examples right there that they've gone back and kind of updated a little bit. And I don't think any of those were popular grind spots. Like maybe if they went back and did Pirates now and made the regular Pirates a 240 AP grind spot, that might be.
Wait, what's your point here? Are we talking about power creep? Interesting grind spots?
I think what happened. I guess my point is my power creep leads to grind spots being irrelevant, and the number of choices that we have are becoming slimmer and slimmer. So if you're an in-game player right now, it's really Stars Inn and Sakraya. That's really about it. And then maybe eventually Ash Forest opens up, but it's just
has there
more options,
ever been a time when there was more than 1 to 2 relevant in-game grind spots for players who are like truly at the top end? I think that's pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe that's true. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that is true. There's not enough of it. Maybe it's always been like 1 or 2.
Yeah, there's always ways that they could add more versatility, but I don't really think it's a huge problem compared to other things.
Yeah.
Can we get back to the
yeah, I guess I don't know. I kind of was just thinking about it. I think AP brackets and DP brackets are going to have an effect long term, and maybe we'll see that in proof will be in actually happening. So the next topic though is class balance. So we can get into that. And now that's something that everybody can have an opinion on, and I think there's going to be a lot of talking going around along with this in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen because last time they did something like this, the entire Korean community erupted and was super mad about it, and they just canceled everything, and they just never pushed out any of that stuff hardly. They pushed out like
no, they reworked it. That's what we just got a while ago.
We got like 10% of it though. They canceled like their 9% of it. So
here's the difference. I actually like a lot of the balance that they're doing right now in the Global Lab, and the reason is so previously the balance that they did that everyone got super pissed off about was this like weird detached spreadsheet based armchair balancing by people who didn't actually play the game. And so it was a lot of weird number changes and like buffing skills that didn't need to be buffed and nerfing skills that didn't need to be nerfed. Like it didn't make sense. It wasn't people who had intimate knowledge of those classes. This latest round of patches or this latest round of changes that they're doing on Global Lab was with the help of Korean players who actually play those classes. So the focus on it seems to be, for the most part, playability and quality of life things. It's certain hotkey combos that made it difficult to do your combo, or certain animations that were getting in the way of your class being enjoyable or feeling fluid. There's not a ton of like, this skill's been increased by 28%, this skill's been reduced by 36%. You don't see a lot of that in the patch note. What you see is this skill can now chain to this skill, or this hotkey, you now have two different choices for which combo you want to do here, instead of being locked into only this one choice. It's pretty good. Like, I'm not going to say I agree 100% with all the changes, but no one's ever going to agree with 100% of the changes. What I like is the direction and kind of the thought process behind the changes. It's a lot of stuff that makes these classes more fun and more versatile, rather than just hit harder or hit weaker.
Yeah, I when I look at this for Sorceress, that's the class I play. I thought this is going to make it way stronger in PvP, but it doesn't necessarily address any of the PvE weakness of Awakening. So what I'm kind of hoping is that this looks like mainly a quality of life patch across the board for all classes, not necessarily solving any of the core balancing issues. And I'm hoping to do a second pass that looks at the actual damage output of classes, so that we can maybe have more balance between Succession and Awakening, so people have a choice which one they want to play, rather than feeling forced to play the most optimal version of their class.
Which classes do you feel are still like hard forced into Sucks or Awaken, and and the other one is just way behind? I know there's a couple, but do you think it's like a widespread problem across every class?
I think it's at least 50% of the classes are forced. Probably more than that. I know Sorceress feels forced. I know Wizard feels forced. Witch is going to be forced after this. Warrior has, I think, a fair shot. I think it's fairly balanced. Tamer is Awakening. I don't think Guardian's forced. Musa, I don't know about Musa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. Tim, do you agree with most of that? Like,
I think it's maybe 50%.
I think it's probably fairly split right now in terms of classes that actually have a choice versus classes that are kind of forced into the meta.
Yeah, I actually really like how Guardian does it, where grinding in large scale is definitely Awakening, but you can still do like medium or large scale on Suck. But like 1v1s, you play Suck. So there's like reasons to go to both. What I don't really like, but you can still grind on it. You can still do okay. What I really dislike about Witch, and the reason I left Witch, is that its PvE is Suck and its PvP is Awakened. And I don't like those clear of lines where you basically have to play two classes. It's not even like min-maxing. It's not like to get the most out of your class. It's like Suck Witch PvP isn't really relevant unless you're super gear carried in a robot, and then you're an idiot if you're grinding an Awakened Witch. So
yeah,
I think when it gets to those points, it's bad. And I really like how they balanced Guardian, where you can play either way if you want.
Yeah, I think in PvP there's a lot more diversity there, because it's skill based rather than just raw damage numbers. But in PvE, it's not really a skill based thing as much as it comes down to how much raw DPS can you output. And so like Maywell's another example of that, where the Succession's way better than the Awakening. The Awakening is literally could be buffed by 30%, and it would still not be comparable to some of the other Successions out there. And I would like to see that a little bit more anyway, at least from the considerate, because right now I feel forced to play Sorcerer's Succession, and I know there's other classes that feel forced to play their Successions, and I just want there to be choice, because I think choice is like the spice of life. It's just really, really good. It makes the games more enjoyable when you can pick if you want to do life skilling or grinding or PvP or whatever you want to do, and that's really what makes MMOs what they are, is you get to pick how you want to play the MMO and enjoy it. And I think Succession and Awakening, having a choice there, would again enhance the game. And so even if you don't like Succession, then you can play Awakening. If you don't like Awakening, then you play Succession. And then there's way more chances for people to actually pick a class and enjoy it, rather than picking a class and then you play only one and maybe you don't enjoy that, so you have to reroll. So anyway,
I think they should get rid of Succession completely. I hate it so much. I think it's done nothing good for the game. I don't like the selection.
I think it needs more. I think they rush Succession too much, in my opinion. But other than that, as long as I think if they look at it maybe in the future and do a little bit of work on it, there's some people who actually thoroughly enjoy the difference that's offered there.
Yeah, I know I'm probably on a minority there, but I just wanted to say that I wish they would just take Succession back.
So do you want to get into the meat and potatoes of this balance change? Because there's a lot to go through here. Maybe talk about the classes that you guys are interested in, think are going to be a big impact.
Yeah, well, I think it would take too long to go line by line, but we could possibly call out a few that are standing out. I know for warriors, not much is happening for Succession Warrior, but Awakened Warrior is getting some really interesting quality of life. Your ability to swap back into Awakened from the pre-awakened stance, the ability to just do your head chase and immediately have the great sword out is really interesting. Like that'll give you the ability to basically iframe when you're in pre-awaken, and also it'll let you swap, and then the animation is instant, so you can immediately cancel that with like a solar flare or something. So there's some really cool movement stuff. It also seemed like I saw a few clips on Reddit where it seemed like they might have increased like your ability to steer charging thrust and a few other movement skills, although that might have just been more people doing head case chancels. But yeah, overall it looks pretty clean. It looks like you're going to be able to do some really interesting stuff with movements and like juking or just staying safe while moving around as an Awakened Warrior.
Can you guys link this to me real quick? I don't have it in front of me. I want to take a look at the Guardian thing real quick, but
here,
I asked chat, but they're a bunch of lurkers.
let me hide my screen real quick and I'll post it in Discord.
But I'm with you. I didn't get a chance to respond to what you said earlier, Moreland, about making the classes work better, or making the skills work better together, instead of just, they fucked with the numbers enough, and there's so many numbers to fuck with that it's nice that they're just making the classes more fluid, because a lot of them suffer from clunkiness or a little too hard for the average player. Like Awakened Warrior has a high skill ceiling, and being able to make it easier and more fluid, but also keeping that high skill ceiling is really cool. All those changes that you described for Warrior sound great.
And
I want a cleaner product
so that your DPS isn't tied to your FPS. That would be, see, like that's a change that it would be way more welcome than any kind of damage increase or damage decrease, right? Like if they just disconnected your DPS from your FPS, that would be huge.
Yeah, they did that on Global Lab a while back and actually put on Korea. I do hope they take the time to actually do it. The things that broke last time is like all the mini games. They're all based on FPS being around 60 to like 200. And so all those like Amity, fishing minigame, horse training, horse catching.
Put it on NA and you couldn't farm. you couldn't do farming.
You couldn't do farming? Oh, okay, so you wait, it would just... there's so many problems with it. I do hope they eventually take the time to actually go through and fix it. I do hope they take that time and do that. I can't open Discord for some reason. I'm trying.
I think Discord's having some trouble. I got the patch notes. I'm taking a look at it. Some interesting witch changes.
They really overhauled Succession Witch.
I think
it looks like it might actually be a choice now.
It looks like they basically gave it Wizard's instant cast ability, so they can cast abilities really fast. So I think it's going to be the Succession is now going to be just like Wizard as far as how strong they are. This is why I kind of hope that if this is the quality of life patch, and I hope they go back and do the balancing patch, because this is going to make the Succession Awakening issue on Witch way worse, but it's also going to be way more enjoyable. So that's why I'm hoping that they kind of go through and tweak damage numbers maybe in the future.
What do you? So you know a lot more about Witch than I do, Tim. What are you looking at that? Is it still like clear one or the other? Do you think that the changes to Awakened give it any kind of viability, or does it just look like Suck is going to be a way to go?
I mean, if this is making it, I don't have the brain power to on the spot go through the Witch Suck thing, but giving Gore Roll and giving these flows more damage on some of their strongest attacks, that's big.
Because that's one of the only Awakened Witch and Wiz were one of the only classes that I saw that had just like straight up significant damage increases. We were talking about how a lot of it was quality of life. Those classes did seem like they just got straight increase in a few places though.
But if you can teleport in, the separate teleports on Wizard is cool, but I don't know if that really defines the class. But if you can teleport in Voltaic and then the Frigid Fog, like just boom boom, like Wizards do, then you get yourself a PvP class, you know? So
Well, I
that's
think they're talking about sorceress here. I can look at and maybe shed some light on that. So they actually increased it where you have 4 shards of darkness instead of 3. And what you do when you run out of stamina is you can now use a shard of darkness. So now you're going to be able to do 4 iframes after you run out of stamina instead of 3, which makes the iframe problem even more frustrating on sorceress than before. So, like I said, I think that's that as far as a quality of life, it's a
Didn't they
bigger.
also nerf Sork's ability to like generate infinite shards or something?
Yeah,
There was a trade-off that made it so that they couldn't iframe quite as much, I think.
So that's true, to a certain extent. The how do I say this? You can't generate them infinitely, but you can still generate enough. It's not a problem for sorcerers to generate those. You just have to do it in more clever ways during PvP. I think ultimately this is going to make the frustration when you fight sorceress much greater, but it's going to be much more fun for the sorceress to play. And that's why I keep saying, like, I think they need to go back and do a pass again for DPS when after the dust settles on this and people get to play it, because this by far looks like the most fun sorceress change in the history of sorceress changes, and I think that nails it on the head. If that's their goal, is just make things more fun, they're doing that. Now, but for PvP balance and
they need to make the game more fun for Sorks. I don't like that.
But I think this is what they're doing for a lot of classes, except for Musa. Musa didn't get hardly anything in here.
So let me talk about Guardian for a second, because there's some really cool changes here. One of our meat and potato kind of filler moves is what's this called? Cleansing Flame. And so it's just a really good, the 50% of it's super good.
Yeah, you got.
But, excuse me, may I finish?
No.
Yeah,
so they're going to allow you to move the skill a little bit, so you're not so stationary, which I think is really good for that skill. It's super armor with no CC, but my favorite change is, so you know the skill, awaken skill, where you get grabbed and then it's slam on the ground, do a flip slam on the ground, then stab into the ground. I think it's Scornful Slash is what it's called. That's currently bound on first hit, and then a fuckload of damage unprotected. All of it's unprotected until you get to the stab in the ground, and it's the worst super armor in the game. Everything's super armor, and they took away the bound. It's a fuckload of damage, especially in tier ones.
It's ridiculous.
It's a huge buff to Guardians, Awakened Guardians.
As if that class didn't have enough AoE super armors already.
And it's like a 4 or 6 second cooldown. It's super low. I'm just gonna be running around shift R and being everything. It's great. I'm gonna be devastating with that, dude.
Yeah. Although in 1v1, Awakened Guardians are gonna have to learn how to combo now.
Or grab. They're all really bad at grabbing. I don't know why.
That's what they all did. They would grab and they would go straight into shift right click and just get like a shitty extend with the bound, but they did so much damage that it was enough to, finish somebody off.
Yeah.
So are there any other classes in here that you guys want to talk about? I'm not familiar with a lot of these.
The lack of change for Musa is pretty telling.
That's a good point.
Of all the classes to not get any love, do you think that the Korean Musa rep is a troll or something? Like,
all Musas are trolls. Every single Musa player I've ever found has been a troll.
They should 100% fire the striker guy, because there's no line that says no falling animation after you do Twisted Collision. It's literally the reason I stopped playing striker. I mean, Moreland and I fought a little bit after our node war yesterday, and I pulled out a striker because I love the striker 1v1 in the combat so much. It's a little hard to pull off correctly in large scale, but the Twisted Collision and falling out of the sky is a major fucking problem. It's just as bad as hitting a pebble, when you're dashing on a warrior. And I'm shocked that they didn't address that stuff here, but
I would like to see them just go through and rework that code that determines fall for all classes.
Well, the annoying thing is newer classes don't have the issue. Like if you're dashing around on a lawn or something, you don't get drop stunned the way you do using chase or head chase on a warrior or a Musa. So they clearly have better dashes that they could implement that don't stun you, but they just, I don't know what it is. They just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. That being said, this is such an awesome and well thought out list of additions, even if it doesn't pan out correctly, this is a huge step in the right direction, I think. And I know I heard you ranting a little bit about that, Potion, but scrolling, having a different opinion, but scrolling through this, I'm really happy that they're taking these stabs at this. And I want to give them a kind of a wide berth with this, with supporting it and just see how it plays out. So after a bunch of percentage changes that, seem to be okay, except for Succession Wizard, now they're looking to make classes more fluid and listen to the player base and stuff. It's a good look. I've been so fucking upset for so many years about them not doing stuff like this. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't pat them on the back. And they're trying to figure out who the right people to listen to are, and it seems that they're doing the best job that they possibly can. So I really support this,
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they have direct communication with, some of these Korean players, you can see the influence of people who actually play the game in these notes. Even if you don't agree with them, you can see the difference between a strictly dev-driven patch and a dev plus player collaboration. It's night and day. So I hope that they start doing this with other parts of the game. I hope that they have a feedback team for life skilling next, because man, like imagine the changes that we could get if they got people who actually life skill, at especially at the high ends, to start telling them the problems with that aspect of the game. That could really go a long way.
Yeah, I think that for this, I'm really, really big on balance. That's my big thing I want in the game. I just want balance, and I want players that gives players more choices to choose what they want to do. And so for this, my natural tendency for this is look at it and be like, this is not balanced. This is not balanced at all. But then there's so much things in here when you read through it. It's like fun. And you read the next line, it's more fun. And the next line, it's like, this is another quality of life. And then another quality of life. And every line is just quality of life for classes in here. It's really, like, after I've actually given it some thought, it's really hard to, like, dislike this, because it doesn't matter what class you're picking in here. Almost every class has more quality of life, more fun things to do in the game that they've been asking for potentially years for some of these changes. And
except Musa.
except for Musa.
Good for you. I'm glad you changed your tune about that. I was listening to you and I'm like, man, is it really that bad? And it's like, oh shit.
I do think the sorceress changes for PvP are going to be the bane of everybody's existence for several weeks, but it's going to make it way more fun. And if they do a balance patch after this,
notice the difference, dude. Every time I fight a Sork, it takes I'm just sitting there for half an hour waiting for them to run out of stamina. If it gets buffed, what's the difference between chasing a Sork around for 20 minutes and chasing them around for 25 minutes? You already want to uninstall the game either way. Like, does it really matter at this point?
The next quality of life update I'd like to see is deleting Sork and replacing it with a different class.
Oh, they're already doing that. It's called Hashashin. They're skipping the deleting Sork part and it's going straight to Hashashin. That's what they're replacing it with.
That's fine, but let's actually delete Sork. Chat's going wild.
No, not my sorceress. I really like this though. I'm looking forward to seeing what if they continue to iterate on this process in the future. One thing I'm wondering if you guys are concerned about is if you asked one of you guys like, hey, Moreland, what do you think about Warrior? What kind of buff? I mean, you're always going to say buffs, right? And if you ask Tim, you're always going to say buffs for Striker or Guardian or Witch.
Not true.
Right?
Not necessarily true.
I think there's a level of bias there, right? And that's my concern here is that these guys we're going to have a level of bias. So when it comes time to, hey, how can we properly balance your class? I'm a little concerned that we won't be able to get good results out of this. And that's why I'm looking to see when they do round 2 of this, maybe in a little while later, I want to see what that looks like. Because this right here looks fantastic. And I want to see what the version 2 of this looks later on, as Pearl Abyss learns and as the people that they're working with also learn.
So one of the reasons I'm not well liked with specific content creators is I went on a previous podcast I was affiliated with, and I was kind of sarcastically making a point that really don't respect people's opinions of class balancing who have only ever played one class in this game. And so the only thing I really ask of a group of people that are looking to balance the game is to have a perspective of at least one other class than the one that they currently main or represent, so they know what everybody, just to have that perspective, I think is super, super important. Because if you've only played Berserker and you go, well, our kit, we don't have a lot of super armor damage. It's like, shut the fuck up. Who fucking cares? 4 grabs, grab resistance, all this fucking shit. You got to ult bomb. Just shut the fuck up. I hate berserkers so goddamn much that complain about their class.
It's such a berserker problem too, because berserkers
Jesus
only
Christ.
play berserkers. Like all the high-end berserker players have been playing it from the start. They've never played anything else, and they're so spoiled. They have no idea how good they have it.
Right. They really don't know. They really don't know. So, and some rangers are like that too. Some sorks are like that too. Somebody in my chat is getting roasted because they say our damage abilities are completely unprotected. My chat's just crucifying up. So
press Q.
Right. But anyway, that's something that the only thing I really care about is if somebody's making a change is that they've played at least one other class. I think you'd be really good for something like that with all the classes you've played, Moreland. 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Remember you had all those odds? You had all those alts? You have a really good just general knowledge. That's really important when it comes to balancing, is how can you call it balancing if you don't know what other classes deal with, right?
Well, that's why I went on a mission originally to get every class to 61. I talked to Is Mr. Bub, and that was one of his goals, and I was like, he doesn't stream BDO anymore, so I was like, that's going to be one of my goals now. So, and it gave me a wide understanding of all the classes. So now I have every class in the game is 61 or higher. I have 2 classes at 62. I've played a lot on over like maybe 70% of the classes I've played for 20 plus hours. And so I've been trying to expand my knowledge on that a lot. And recently I played Meiwa. That was my most recent addition to that. And I really enjoyed that. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do in the future, is to have, because it's sort of like, how can I even comment on this without playing them? And even if I do play it for 20 hours, like that 20 hours is still nothing ultimately, really. It's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. But at least then I can have a conversation with somebody and be like, oh, I at least understand what ability you're talking about, possibly, you know? So.
I'm 100% sure that if this game wants to balance open world PvP at Sawsons, they're going to go straight to you, dude. You're the expert.
It's true. 2,400 hours. I have more time at Sawsons than anyone else in the world. I'm confident of it. I'm very confident of it.
I can hear the confidence. It's kind of turning me on. I'm not going to lie.
That's way too much Sawsons.
It's a lot. I went from 51 to 63 at Sawsons. I did a little bit of Miramaki there, but we've been there a long time. Is there anything else in here? I didn't read everything else in the global patch. Last week in the global lab, they added new bosses to Bodice Habitat and some other place. Is there anything else in this that we should talk to?
I feel like there was something else, but I don't have the notes in front of me, so I'd have to scroll through them.
Yeah, I'm gonna scroll through real quick.
Some quest knowledge stuff. Oh, the siege war changes. Come on.
What did you?
Yeah, so they killed the HP change. You no longer lose HP for staying in a region.
Yep.
And I've heard 2 different versions of what they actually did. I've heard that they changed it to a flat 1,000 for everybody. Yep. And then I've also heard that it's a flat 1,000 only for the defender, and that the attacker still gets more. So I'd have to look at the notes and double check which one of those is correct.
It says during occupation, decrease from 5,000 to 1,000 during occupation. In addition, the effect reducing the maximum health by 500 when removing each province, I guess, continuously has been removed. So
is this really
either way?
It's kind of weird, right? Because it pretends as if every guild who's holding a castle is on an 8-week streak, so they still have a huge disadvantage. Is that really the fix we wanted?
I want an even fight. I want an even fight, and then if that means like putting 2 people outside of a castle, I think that might be even better. But I mean, that's a whole.
It almost makes the problem worse, because at least when you first took a castle, you had a couple weeks where you were fighting slightly handicapped, but it wasn't too bad. Now we're just skipping to you've held the castle 2 months and you need to leave, but after 1 week. It seems odd to me.
The thing I think overall that's weird about this is they're trying to strong arm people out of castles rather than people who are actually strong enough to take the castle taking it. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're just trying to strong arm people out of the castle, and I don't like that, because it feels, if you're the strongest guild, you should be holding that castle, and then until someone else is strong enough, and maybe they need to figure out how to bridge that gap where there's a road to the top still. But I don't think the solution is just giving like a crazy handicap to the people controlling it.
Well, they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. They don't understand what's happening in the siege scene. They don't understand that it's just a bunch of handoffs, scripted fights, and there's no incentive to actually create conflict or PvP or anything like that. So they're just looking at these numbers and things that, and to their credit, we've been screaming about for since they've done it. And so what they've done here is something, and congratulations for finally doing something, but it's the wrong something and way too late. So, but as far as the HP thing, but as far as the respawn timers going from 10-second minimum to 60-second maximum, I think that's something, again, should have happened years ago, but really good quality of life, especially for Balanos and Serendia scraps. It's going to be way more fun.
What does that do? Explain to me how that affects things.
So it shifted throughout the meta in a couple different ways through siege guilds. It used to be the first push was everything, because you would start off at a 60, and it still can be. Start off, you die 60 seconds. So if you start on somebody's base and you wipe them, right, Chonation starts on you, you're kind of fucked. And it turned into like some early base racy stuff on the onset, because 60 seconds when you have a full guild on you is a lot. So now it's 10 seconds. So it kind of creates this ability to have a more even or balanced fight as far as the cadence is concerned, and not so Zergy rush in the very beginning.
Right.
And then you're not just, one of the biggest complaints was I died and now there's a 2.5 minute timer or something. I spend half of the 4 hours of siege ostensibly staring at my death screen. I want to play in siege. And so that solves that problem too, making the max timer 60 seconds.
Why don't you just not die?
That's what I always said, but I actually liked the long timer because I could shot call from observe mode, which is great, but I can see why other people want to actually play the game.
So I like, I don't know, I'm kind of torn on this one. I see what you're saying as far as the early timers being shorter, so that it's not just about like the one pump, but at the same time, if we cut timers in siege this significantly, doesn't this like make siege twice as long now? Since there's going to be such faster respawns, it's going to be a lot harder to take a base down.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's going to have to be a more decisive.
They've already buffed the duration of these forts so that the fights are super long. Now, if people are spawning, even if 2-3 hours into a siege, you're still spawning this quickly, it's going to be a lot more pushes required to actually take the fort down.
Yeah,
I feel like this just naturally extends the duration of every siege by 30-50%.
Well, what is a good length for a siege, and how long did it normally last right now before this change? So we have
4 hours is not a good length. I'll tell you this thing. 4 hours. I don't know what the magic number is, but it's not fucking 4 hours.
I've been in
it's
a few 4 hour ones.
Hours.
No thanks.
Like,
it's two. It's two. But so this is what it's going to do. Instead of it just being, because right now it's a kamikaze meta, basically. Kill them as fast as you can, pull out your axes or whatever. Axing has kind of gone to the wayside recently, it seems, but it's still fairly viable, especially with CTG. So what this is going to do now is kind of force guilds to stay on the outside of bases and cast in, especially when you have all these succession wizards that have long-range skills. You're just going to stand on the outside, cast in, they spawn up, you pull back, and you just push, pull, kind of whittle the base down. So I don't know if it's going to be, if they keep playing the way that they are currently playing and they don't adjust their tactics in any way, shape, or form, yes, it would make it substantially longer. But when you know the respawn timers are coming so much quicker, you're going to want to keep that pressure on and farm them. And then once they full respawn, you pull it back and re-engage. So I don't think it's going to be that substantial of an increase of fight time, but everybody's going to be able to play more for sure. And you just adjust the tactics, it'll be fine.
So this is bringing cannons back into meta then, since you're not going to be able to burn down a base, you can take a longer siege and use cannons.
Cannons have always been meta, homie.
Yeah, cannons have never left the meta.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's like how I guess maybe better question is, how will cannons be affected by this, if at all? Will it be more crucial or less crucial?
A good cannon team is crucial to every siege guild, and I don't. Yes, it'll be. I don't want to say it'll be more important because it's already super important, but it'll be important.
Well, I think it's definitely interesting. I think another concern I kind of have is the healing abilities, right? So even if you have super short cooldown period, you when you respawn, they're going to be at full health again because you're going to have heals every time. They're percentage based. And I feel like that kind of elongates that fight where previously if you had longer cooldowns, it would be a problem because maybe you spawned twice and then you wiped them because they couldn't heal up fast enough. But with all the heals that you can have in game through Wizard, Witch, Valkyrie, Shy, yada, 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 that really extends that a lot longer. And I think that could have been another way they could have addressed this is make it where you don't have percentage heals and then you would still have the fights be more dynamic where, okay, you push, we wipe you wipe the team you're trying to wipe out, right? And then you do a second push and then they wipe you because you couldn't heal up fast enough. Do you think that might have been another way they could have tackled this, or what are your thoughts on healing in the current healing meta?
I mean, it's dog shit. It's just bad. I don't know if there's a good way to address this, but when you were saying that, what it made me realize is that this is going to reinforce the PA meta in having everybody be a caster. Because if you're going to be outside of a base for longer, because there's more pushes when you're whittling that base down, you're going to want to have 4 or 5 PA rotations, more group, smaller rotations, but you're still going to want to have 6 or 7 in each one. So, I mean, there's nothing to say about the healing and PA meta except for it's terrible and it's likely never going to change, right? They're not going to make massive PA changes. Maybe they make some healing changes, but somebody at this game fucking loves PA and they love these big ass heals. And I just don't.
It's our name. PA's our name. Oh, we're not going to nerf that.
Don't get it.
Now, I was looking through here and they buffed actually gatekeepers and field bosses by some amount. They didn't say exactly how much they buff them by.
Well, hold on. Let me just have some closing thoughts on Siege.
Yeah,
even though I've been on the outside of this even though I've been on the outside of Siege for a little while, and I'm definitely burnt out after over 3 years of consecutive sieging and 2 Siege guilds. Still no caps or talks about caps on mercs. They've briefly and kind of awkwardly bad translated mentioned it. So the incentive to start a new Siege guild just really isn't there. There's nothing to do to incentivize conflict through creating new or more guilds to Siege, where we saw, Pearl Abyss self-publishing kind of work on that a little bit and give that some attention. I'm surprised we're not seeing that. So they're putting a Band-Aid on a leg that's been cut off. Siege is still in a very terrible place, and it's just passing off grind buffs to each other. And that's fine if they don't care, right? And I think we're starting to see that they don't care. But it's a shame because it used to be so awesome and create so much content and conflict that, a majority of the community really watched and was a part of and wanted to be a part of. So, I'd love to see them make Siege great again. And these changes, I agree with the cooldown ones, but there's so much lower hanging fruit that they just leaped over to, climb onto a second or third branch. But I'm hopeful. I'd love to return to Siege and have fun doing it, but I think we're a ways out.
They have said about Node Wars in particular that they're reworking Node Wars and making it where you have territories that kind of expand and you control like a portion of the map. And maybe when we see that, maybe we'll see more of the changes that will. It doesn't seem like that's the fix that we really need, but maybe after they do that, they'll give it some attention and they'll start working on some of the bigger problems in Siege. Because I really feel like the core underlying rules between the motivations why you want to do Node Wars and the punishment for losing fights is not there. Because right now you could lose, 5 fights in a week and then feed 5 nodes to another ally, and then just take 1 for yourself, and then you have 5 allies and yourself placing on a siege region. And it's just a really unhealthy system. There's no punishment for losing, right? And I feel like if they somehow tailored the cost of losing a fight a little bit in some way, maybe you have to do X amount of guild missions or spend X amount of guild points to something like that. I don't know. There needs to be something that you need to look at that.
We used to have to put workers on the nodes that we dropped, and they got rid of that. So it was a lot of work, and you had to coordinate with your guild, and it seemed annoying at the time. But looking back, it created a lot of camaraderie and interest in placing specifically siege forts. Took hours of work.
Yeah, there'd be some guy, he might not be good at doing the war part of it. He might have the worst PvP score, but he placed that node every single time for you. Yeah. And you're like, you are here forever. You never need anything, you let us know.
30 workers on a node and knock it out in an hour, where it takes most guilds 2 hours. Yeah, I had that guy, right? And that was a cool way. It was a different mechanic and stuff like that. So I think I know ignorance isn't I'm not saying it negatively, but your ignorance has some intelligence to it. But it used to work that way, where there was penalties to some degree, or it was at least annoying. And I think that was a really good way to handle that instead of just this rip up and slam at the last second meta that we've been suffering for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work to do
I
on
don't think it
Siege,
necessarily
and
has to
we could sit
be-
here and talk about it forever.
I don't think it has to be workers, but I do think something that encourages people, like maybe you have to go grind at a grind spot and put an kill X amount of monsters before you can actually place your node down instantly or rip it up. Like something like that would be another interesting way to encourage both the grind mentality and camaraderie, but doesn't have the annoyance of workers and everything to it. I think there's a lot of things that could toy with different ideas, and that's just something to play with, right?
Yeah, I have a tough time spending brain power on this stuff personally.
Yeah, it's like I could sit here and come up with some interesting ideas for it, but it doesn't really matter. I'm pretty jaded when it comes to Siege overall.
Yep.
And we were talking a little bit earlier, even just like when it comes to T1s, the amount of laziness when it comes to just making PvP in this game good. Like we were talking about how some of the caps seem to not be working, or some of these formulas are not capped properly, or there's something weird going on in terms of damage between certain targets and not other targets. Like, if they can't even just cap gear when they said they were going to cap gear in a T1, a problem which is now going to become even worse with a 30% bracket, 20% bracket. Like it just, where's the effort? If there was just a handful of devs that actually cared enough to go through and first of all just make things work, and like then once things just worked, then they could start thinking about how to improve it or how to balance it. But I mean, right now, like half the stuff doesn't even work. It's clear that the effort's not going in that direction. So it feels exhausting and tiresome to even think about what the solutions ought to be.
100% true.
All right, we have one more thing that I've saw in here. They did some monster changes. They have buffed the gatekeepers, and they have buffed field bosses. And gatekeepers used to be something that used to be the best money in the game. And what you would do is you would basically get a team of 5 together. You would rotate servers and rotate between 2 gatekeepers. So you kill a gatekeeper, go to another gatekeeper, kill that gatekeeper, then change servers, and then do that again. So there's always, you would try to work together with your guildmates to try to control a certain number of gatekeepers at a time. So I'm really looking forward to this buff, because if it brings it back where you can make maybe 100 mil per hour doing this, that would be something really, really fun for newer players to get into, or maybe players who just want to have a different type of play style. And field bosses have this too, where basically you can go from channel to channel, channel to channel, and killing field bosses, because they still have their own independent spawn timers and despawn timers, where world bosses are all grouped together with one big health pool. So I really hope this adds a new way of playing Black Desert and earning money that's been not really relevant in a long time. What have you ever done any of that, Morlin or Tim?
Yeah, I did gatekeepers super heavily when they were at their peak. And, I used to do every field boss suite. Actually, the entire reason why I joined Warrior Poets back in the day was because they had the field boss timers on lockdown. So they knew all the windows and they would announce them. And that was like huge for your progression, was knowing, when Mudster was going to spawn or whatever. And then having guildies who could help you and potentially pass you loot. Like there was a whole system for it. So yeah, it used to be a really important part of the game. I like that they're trying to bring it back. I don't know, gatekeepers, like I think only a very, very small portion of, like, if they did buff it to the point where it was as good as it used to be, it was really only content for like a small portion of players. So I don't care as much about gatekeepers, but they might as well buff it. I think the field boss thing could be big. It's all going to come down to how big of a buff this is. That's really what a lot of the changes when it comes to content and rewards and BDO come down to is, well, is it worth or not? Like at the end of the day, if it's worth, people are going to do it. If there's other activities that are more worthwhile for their time, then they're not going to do it. And the fun factor is kind of secondary to that. So,
right. How much money do you think per hour you would need? Because I think it has to be at least 100 mil, because a lot of the activities, even for relatively newer players, is around 100 mil plus. What do you think the income needs to be of this type of activity per hour?
I'm making 275 mil an hour at Stars Inn. I think 100 mil an hour is a waste of time, quite frankly.
Even for new players?
Have to be. New players aren't going to be doing gatekeepers.
Yeah, to do gatekeepers properly, you have to lock them down. Basically, you can't just randomly go and scout gatekeepers. If you do that, you're not making any money. Like even if it's extremely buffed, the reason it was good back in the day is because you would do it for 12 hours straight. You would do the entire day's worth of gatekeepers as they were spawning, and then you would go to sleep and you'd wake up when they were coming back up and you would do it again. It was like very, very high end sweaty grind. I don't think 99.9% of players want to or are even capable of doing that, no matter how much they buff it. So I don't know. The gatekeepers, like, I'm not really sure what the right fix to gatekeepers is. I mean, in theory, it would be something like when the gatekeeper is up on that channel, you like find nearby players who are grinding at Fogan's and you team up with them and kill it, or something like that. Like in theory, I guess that would be how to do it. But I'm not sure how to make that happen, because a lot of these spots where the gatekeepers are spawning, people just aren't really like no one grinds cadres anymore, except for on seasons. Like, so I don't really know why people would be, how you would get 5 people to go to these places to begin with, unless they were locking down the timers at that like high level.
Make a stars in gatekeeper and have it guarantee drop disto earring at least, and have an ability for it an enhanced ability for it to be enhanced. Right. So then you got a 300 mil object that you need a team for and a timer that's at a place where everybody's at anyway. That is going to create a lot of conflict. To that end, I really, really, really want them to give a buff when you get into PvP combat. You get immunity of losing EXP and crystals for 1 minute. I'm so tired of the feed people to PvE mentality of open world. I really am, dude.
No, I need to be able to feed people, dude, because the karma system's broken. Feeding people is the only way I can defend my spot.
It's true, actually. That's how I do with people in Korea. I had karma bombing 101, and I fed some dude to a mob at Helms.
I hate it so much. I'd rather just have some fun PvP, fuck around for a little while, not have to worry about losing hundreds and hundreds of millions of silver. Or if I walk away from the computer for 2 seconds, right? I'm fine with that. But getting fed to mobs is just, I'm kind of tired of it. I feel bad when I do it to other people too. I don't like doing that to people.
I hate that
that's a meta.
I think it needs to be left in the game until they do something like every time you kill somebody, their respawn timer increases. Because they need some type of.
There's got to be some way to actually kick someone out of your spots. If we're gonna turn off PvE penalties during PvP, then I need an actual way to kick someone out of my spot. If I kill them 3 times in a short period of time, they need to be forced to spawn town, or they need to be kicked out of the node. I don't know. Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because right now, like, people will just run into your spot and steal your mobs, and there's like, that's not fun either.
True. I'm with you. I think if you kill somebody 3 times,
90 times in a row, like, dude, I had a guy pearl res when I was leveling my Kuno. The reason why my Kuno originally went negative 1 million, I actually had a guy pearl res 90 something times in a row, like no exaggeration, hours and hours of just pearl resing over and over again. Like every once in a while he would pause and I would think he was gone, and then what he was actually doing was just pressing F3 and buying more tiers, and he was doing
I accidentally bought 100 instead of 100 artist memories. I bought 100 tiers, and so I karma bombed the barcode member back in the day because he pissed me off. I was like, well, I have 100 of these. I'm not gonna put in a ticket for it. I'm too lazy for that. So I just went and did that, and that's actually how I started my stream. Like, because I had 60 people from barcode stream sniping me for like 2 weeks. That's how my stream got started.
I was really hoping we'd be able to go through 1 episode without hearing that story, but
it's just too good. You gotta mention it every time. But I think overall, though, I do hope
Spotify. Borland was laughing, but he uses push to talk, so you can't tell that he's actually happy.
I also laughed silently.
He laughed silently.
It's like laughing without smiling.
I feel weird now.
I really want them to actually look at that, though, because I think the open world is something that's really, really easy content, and it gives your gear meaning. Because if you don't have any PvP, then you're only grinding gear to go to higher end grind spots and grind more gear. And although that does have some fun in it, and the enhancing does give you some feel good moments when you get a pin or something, I don't think that's really enough motivation for the majority of players in the long term to be satisfied for going for more gear.
Well, okay, so here's the problem. With gatekeepers, it's group content that is in solo spots. The reason why Monastery works is because it's a 2-man boss on a 2-man grind spot. If you just made group loot a thing in more places in this game, if there was actually a way to get your friends together and do like a 5-man Naga rotation, we wouldn't do it, but newer players would. It would be profitable for them, especially on the season. And if they just added the monetary system, or the monastery rather system to those places where you and your boys grind Nagas and eventually the gatekeeper spawns and then you kill him and you get a huge drop, that would be sick, right? Like everyone would be in favor of that. But right now, the way you have to like kill the gatekeeper at Fogan's and then get on your camel and run all the way to Crescent's and then someone else sniped the one at Crescent's, so we're gonna change channels and like we don't have the timers, so we're just wasting time scouting. It's like,
I got the solution. They make a talisman that's in the ground. You go talk to the talisman and it'll teleport everybody in your party to your location. And then after 15 minutes, it'll teleport them back out. You can't interact with NPCs or anything, but you have that time. So basically, you can teleport everybody to your location, kill the gatekeeper, and then go back to doing what you were doing. And basically, as long as there's no way to abuse that, that'd be a really awesome system to get your friends together for that without really interrupting their time. And they can make, hey, you want to make 200 mil? You want to make 300 mil? Like, hey, let's go see if we can kill this gatekeeper here I found. Like, hell yeah, and they teleport everybody there. I think that'd be a really fun way to do something like that. Because then it gives you the incentive to play with your friends.
Yeah, maybe. Or what they could do is they could just crank the rewards way up and make the timers unreliable so that you couldn't actually predict when they were going to spawn. And that way, when you stumbled across one of these things, it was a big deal. And so you would actually announce to your guild, like, yo, get over here before someone else kills it. And then everyone would show up, like almost like a mini field boss with no announcement or something. I don't know.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of things that they could do. They could just look at the way world bosses work in other games, but I don't know, adding more loot to the current gatekeepers. I just don't know really who that benefits or who's going to take advantage of that. I think it's still going to be dead content.
Lucari's coming back, man, up 2017. Gatekeepers are back. They're coming back and they're going to lock those bitches down, dude. That's what's happening.
So maybe like something like an RNG timer where it's like 1 day's respawn to 1 week respawn would be an interesting solution to that.
Yeah, something. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you need like maybe 20 people to do it with your guild or something. I don't know. I think that's maybe a better track than the teleportation idea.
Do we have other games we can talk about?
We do. We have Tim. Let's start off with Overwatch. You've been playing a lot of Overwatch recently. How do you think it's been? Overwatch got a bad rep a while back, and you've been having a lot of fun there. What's been happening at Overwatch? What's good with it?
Brand new game.
Human interaction is so I've been playing an MMO called Black Desert Online, which most of the PvP happens on Discord. And so now I'm playing a game where you're forced to work together with people, strangers, and I have a short fuse for idiots who pick Genji and only play Genji, and I'm able to verbally communicate that to them, and seeing their reaction to being called out for being a bottom scraping amoeba and just a dog shit human being in general. There's just a lot of personalities on there. So really, like, the game's fine. I think it's a really clean shooter with some arcade things, and it's fun to make some outplays and stuff like that. But it's really working with teammates and being toxic is what I'm having fun with. The game's kind of mediocre in general. Mm-hmm. I think they're working on an Overwatch 2. The new season's fine, but it's always had a fairly vibrant Twitch community, so it's a game that I can swap over to and maintain a reasonable viewership and interaction with chat, because I want people to enjoy what I'm doing and have new people come through. That's the whole point of streaming,
right?
And so if you play some other games, that doesn't really happen. You just bring your captured community over, and sometimes they're just being nice and leave a tab open for you. But I have people asking me to play the game, which is fucking great. I've never had that before. I guess Dark Souls. People wanted me to play Dark Souls, but I didn't enjoy it as
Dark Souls.
I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. It was too much of an investment for me. But you're just, hey Tim, play some Overwatch, and 3 or 4 people will be like, yeah, do that. And then I meet new people and I make enemies and frenemies, and like I was saying last week, cute girls. So,
I still don't believe you.
It kind of is what it is. I don't know. I'm making it fun. The game isn't necessarily anything different than what it used to be.
Right.
They were coming out with a lot of classes for a while, and they kind of pulled back on that because they didn't want to turn into BDO. I heard
that's probably a good choice, actually.
That's I look forward to playing Overwatch every day. Actually,
I think it's good. Morland, you had a Q&A with the Fractured dev. Who was that, and how did it go? Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, so he's the lead dev. I think he's the founder of the company. And we talked for 2 hours. We covered a lot of the game. I learned some new things about the game that I didn't know they were going to have. Overall, I mean, it's really early, but I think the game I think it's got a lot of promise. I enjoyed the 15 or 20 hours worth of content that I got out of alpha. That's about all there is right now. But the way that he kind of described the roadmap of them adding stuff in the future, I think it's going to be kind of like how the Albion betas were, where you would, whenever there was a new beta, you would play it for a month or two, and it was super fun, and everyone enjoyed the reset and the rebalancing and the new map or whatever. And then you kind of got bored of it and waited for the next beta. But you got like 3 or 4 fresh starts when Albion was in development that were all super enjoyable, regardless of
Right.
how you felt about the final version of the game. And none of them were perfect, but they were all definitely worth your time. And I feel like Fractured is going to be the same way. We're getting, obviously the game's super incomplete right now,
Right.
but they have a good enough foundation to where the game is enjoyable and it's smooth and it feels good to play. And it's going to be cool to go back and do those fresh starts in the next alpha test or the next beta test and see what kind of stuff they're adding. The long term of the game is really interesting. It's very sandboxy. It's like, I would say a lot more, has a lot more of that old school sandbox feeling to it. It's not so much of like an Eve or an Albion sandbox where it's very guild based. It's going to be more based on like the actual, like player cities and being part of like the sort of culture of whatever continent you're on, not necessarily just a guild versus guild deathmatch. So I think it's got some really cool long-term sandbox potential. But the full 2 hour Q&A will be on YouTube as soon as I finish timestamping it and stuff. So probably later tonight or tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. So, give us there's a few people who probably don't know what Fractured is. Give us a little bit of insight, real quick, on what type of game it is and what people should expect from it maybe in the future.
So it's like an isometric. It's kind of like playing Path of Exile, but as a massive open-ended RPG instead of like a, linear go to a map, blow stuff up, get loot, repeat. Like, content-wise, it's not very similar to Path of Exile, but the way it feels and looks is kind of similar to Path of Exile. You have horizontal character progression, so you don't start the game as level 1 and then work your way up to level 60. You start the game choosing a set of stats, and then you kind of flesh out your build by learning new skills. The skills that you learn are based on whatever mobs you kill. So every ability that you see in the game is learnable. If you go fight like a raid boss, and that raid boss has a huge earthquake ability that stuns everyone on the screen, if you beat that boss enough times, you can learn that ability and you can get that earthquake skill.
So that's so really cool. So then basically the mobs, any mob you see that has an ability, you can take that ability if you kill them enough and actually start using it.
Yeah, and the way that's balanced is your character has a certain amount of memory slots. So if you have 20 memory points, that earthquake ability might take like 8 of them, right? So it's a huge portion of your kit, and that's the draw.
Oh my gosh!
But the upside is that you get access to this crazy ability.
You see here, that's going to be a problem because, as someone who's not as smart, I'm not going to have as many memory slots as everyone else. I'm going to have an unfair disadvantage here.
You're going to have the minimum intelligence.
Yep, that's going to be me, just like real life. So it's going to be a problem. We're going to have to work on that one a little bit. It sounds really cool, though. I like the idea. Well,
yeah, they have the whole map is completely player built. So there's a couple starter cities with like, a basic tailoring bench and a bank for your shit, but you're supposed to go out and find a player city to join pretty early on in the game, and you're supposed to be a citizen of that city and use their crafting benches and pay taxes to them or collect taxes or become the governor or whatever it is you want to do. It's all very emergent, very player driven. Not a lot of stuff to do in the actual NPC towns. It's all going to be about what other players you're clashing with. There's sieges and conquests where you can bully other towns and raid them and take their stuff or pay tributes or try to conquer them. And it's really interesting.
So do
shades of SWG to me with that player. That's the game that did player towns better than anything. And then the conflict between the player towns was Imperial or Rebel, and then you had bounty hunters hunting your like town's Jedi and stuff like that. And then, did you get a chance to ask him if he had any experience with Darkfall?
I don't know if we specifically talked about Darkfall. I know he played a lot of Ultima Online because that was the main game that he kind of mentioned that he grew up on.
Yeah.
I think we might have mentioned Darkfall a little bit in passing, so I think he's familiar with it. It seems like he also did a good amount of Shadowbane and kind of learned some lessons from that on what they didn't want to do in terms of like sieging and people fighting at 2 a.m. and stuff like that. Yeah, he definitely seems like a guy who's been playing. He said he played pretty much every MMO that ever came out. Like he's one of those. So hopefully he's learned some lessons from that. But yeah, I like the direction that they're taking it.
Yeah, sounds
young
good.
guy. He seemed nice.
There's one more game I wanted to mention, unless you have something else to mention about Fractured.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty early right now. If you want to try the game, you can download it for free. They're doing the rest of the alpha on some website called Game Round, which I guess is like a platform like Steam, but I don't really know what it is. But yeah, if you go and make a Game Round account, you can download Fractured for free right now and play it for the next few weeks. So if you're interested, go there, and then they're going to do this alpha for a few weeks, and then they're going to close it down, and then they'll do the next alpha in like October, November, I think he said. And by the end of this year, I think he said December, they're going to have like a full-blown siege system in place. So player cities will start being able to conquer each other and all that. So it might be fun to hop in the game at the end of the year and start a character and start a city and do some warfare and check it out.
All right. So one of the other games that I don't think any of us have been tracking too much is Horizon Zero Dawn is now out on PC. So that was a huge title, I believe, on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken.
One of my favorite games from PlayStation 4.
Right, so that just came out, I think, this week on PC. So that's actually a big game, and they're going to be releasing Horizon Zero Dawn 2, I think, on PS5. So that's going to be something else people can look forward to. This is something I wanted to mention because I know there's a lot of hype mentioned around that. I guess, Tim, you're a good person for that since you played the first one. Are you looking forward to playing it on PC this time, or waiting for the new version?
I'm not going to play it again. I beat the game. I got what I wanted out of it. I don't feel like I need to spend $60 on it again. But I'm worried about 2. I always worry about, story games being turned into an IP. It was a good game. It was a good RPG. I had a lot of fun with it. It was very successful, so they have to make another one.
Yeah.
But, it's like Anchorman 2. A lot of sequels just really of great things just really shit the bed.
John Wick has done 1 through 4 okay. I mean,
but John Wick doesn't have. There's no substance to there. It's like, let's get Keanu Reeves to shoot somebody point blank as many times as we can in 2 hours, right? And then they really changed it up with John Wick 3 with adding throwing knives and stuff. So I can't wait for John Wick 4, honestly. But there's no way to disappoint as long as Keanu Reeves is murdering hordes of people. As far as his story and creating ambiance in an RPG, there's a lot that you can really do wrong very easily.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just being obvious is probably the biggest pitfall for a lot of entertainment in general. You don't want things that are obvious. You want things that are exciting and new and fresh.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think they've added some type of multiplayer to this new one. I'm not sure how they're incorporating that. And I'm looking to see how that changes the gameplay loop a little bit. How's that tie into, the single player storyline or whatever.
So speaking of irrelevant, I've been playing an absolute ton of Battle Right. Do you guys remember that game?
I downloaded it and then I patched it and then I never played it.
Is that the Cacao game?
No.
Oh, I played that a little bit.
Apologize for that.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's basically like at the tail end of MOBAs being super, super popular and being developed like crazy. It's like a 2v2 or a 3v3. It has that isometric feel to it, but it's not isometric where it's top down kind of MOBA-ish. And then it's just best of 3 or best of, first to 2 or first to 3. in a 2v2 or 3v3 with a kind of MOBA style thing. But the combat is, and the time to kill and the teamwork and just the combat is so good. It's so much fun. There's only like 400 players that play it, but I'll play a little bit of COD with my homie, and then we'll do 1 or 2 matches, and then we're just like battle right. It's just so much fun, but it just needs money. The game just needs money. I really, really wish somebody would pick that game up and just put some fucking money into it and breathe some life into it, because it is probably some of the best
everyone
PvP.
who plays it says it's amazing, but for some reason it just never took off.
Like you need something to hook people. That's what you really need. I don't think they have the hook, if that's the case.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just queue up in PvP. There's no farming. It's just smack somebody. And they've tried a couple different ways to change it, but all those changes made the game worse. It just is what it is. It's just queue up and smash somebody in an arena. And I love it. I love it. And I'm sad that it's not more popular. It would be like Twitch suicide to even stream it. So.
Speaking of irrelevant, again, Crowfall beta is in like 2 days. That came out of nowhere. Has anyone been following this game?
I watched some YouTube videos on a while back. The siege system seems pretty cool in it. That's the one where you can like destroy walls and stuff, I believe.
Who knows?
I'm pretty sure it's like a World of Warcraft type appearance to it. Looking forward to maybe trying it out. I don't think it's gonna have good.
I backed that game in like 2015. I'm gonna have to go, like dig through my old accounts to figure out what my password even is to try to log in to see if I have access.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't think it's going to be like a game changer, but I do think it could potentially be like a new ESO type game. You know, not necessarily the most popular of the popular, but something that people can sit down and play.
Well, they're trying to really change the mold. I mean, I don't know how much of this they're still doing, because it's just taking so long for them to get anything done. But they keep talking about like having a base server where you build like your castle or whatever, and then they're going to have like seasonal servers that you go to get better loot. So it's going to have kind of like a season system built into the regular MMO.
And it actually looks to be like a very good system. I'm just concerned with that. It's sort of like the reason why I don't like World of Warcraft, right? I don't like WoW because every year my progress resets. That's sort of my problem with playing WoW. And I
don't know how the progress or anything like that works in that game. I mean, honestly, it's hard to know anything about Crowfall, because every time I've like gone and researched that game, I feel like 6 months later it's all completely changed. Yeah. So that's why I gave up on it. But yeah, if anyone in chat is like actually following it or keeping up on it, I guess let us know. I don't think I'm going to try the beta, but I was curious if people are planning on doing it, because I saw the announcement and it was like, okay, well, maybe some people will be streaming it and we'll watch them do it, but I probably am not going to.
I think I gave that game $150 in 2015, and I never got any updates. I just don't remember. I might have to
I think they're really bad at the hype train thing.
They had amazing amounts of hype back then. It was all anyone would ever talk about back in like 2016. Everyone it was like the ashes of creation of 2016. I swear to God, like every day in my chat, it was like, "Are you going to play Crowfall? Are you going to play Crowfall?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, it looks cool." The one of the devs is the guy who added Tremel to UO, so you know, yikes.
I gave Ashes of Creation $150. In 2015.
Did you get like a cool mount or something for that?
Wait, 2017? 2017. May of 2017.
Okay, here's the important question.
Idea.
Did you use Lazy Peon's affiliate link?
No, I used Kickstarter. I'm backer 13,502. Successfully pledged $150 to Ashes of Creation. Man,
Bro, they got a straight up MLM scheme going with Ashes of Creation. Make sure you use my link if you're gonna buy that game.
Invited to close alpha phase 2, persistent alpha, 1 additional month of in-game time, 4 total. Kickstarter exclusive, pseudo dragon pet, freehold appearance tier 2.
Yep,
access to
play Ashes of Creation later this year, Tim.
Fuck.
You're in alpha 2. Alpha 1, I think, is this year, right? But anyway, like that, I actually backed the. I was going to go for like the mega tier backer, and I was like, I've been burned too many times on these Kickstarters, and so I just like, all right, well, let's go for the very bottom tier. So whatever the lowest possible backer tier was, that's what I went, and I got me access to the beta whenever the beta comes out. So I was like, at least then I can say I backed the Kickstarter, I helped the game out if it actually is successful, because there's not very many Kickstarters that I've backed. I backed that one, and I have the original Oculus Rift. I have it. It's in my closet right over there. I really, really hope that they deliver on Ash's Creation. And Crowfall, I think I'll see if I can get maybe a key to Crowfall. I would like to try that out, at least for like a day. Like just sit down a day, play it, see how it is.
No.
Yeah, I've got to just try it and see how it ended up, I guess. But beta. Yeah, and then the other big game announcement that we just got, which I'm actually looking forward to legitimately, Mortal Shell is coming out in a couple weeks.
What's that?
What is that?
That's like the new Souls-like, except it looks actually good, unlike every other Souls clone that we've gotten.
Is it the one that's made by, what studios is it made by?
I don't know who makes it, but it looks fucking gorgeous, and like the combat and the animations and stuff look pretty dank. It's got atmosphere for sure. I mean, we'll see. I'm pretty skeptical about any Souls-ish game, but this one looks like it could be good.
When's it coming out?
The 18th for PlayStation, and then PC next month. So,
Okay. There's a lot of good games right now. I feel like a lot of people have been holding out before the new PS5 and Xbox, talks and everything. And now that I feel like we're just getting a lot of good gaming news back to back to back. Oh, this is big news. President Trump actually signed an executive order to make it where companies can't transfer money to Chinese companies, which affects Tencent, more importantly. So that's like Riot Games, Blizzard Entertainment. A lot of game companies are either owned or have a significant portion owned by Tencent. So basically, if you're a game in America or a company in America and you're transferring money to China, you can't do that anymore after 45 days. So it's going to affect things like TikTok. TikTok is going to be able to basically have to be bought out by another company in order to continue functioning in America. It's going to affect something like Let's Chat, I think is one of them.
Do you have a link or something to that? That sounds...
It's not going to affect gaming. It's It's specifically targeted at TikTok, I think. But
it's just Chinese companies in general, which affects some gaming. Like Riot Games will probably be one of the ones that will definitely be affected because they're 100% owned by Tencent. Other companies like PoE, who aren't 100% owned by Tencent, probably won't be affected because they're still based out of other countries that aren't China. So, but companies that are 100% owned by Tencent will have problems.
My mom texted me about that. She was really concerned that BDO was owned by Tencent.
No, Pearlbis is too greedy for that. They'll never let anybody else own it.
I told them they don't need their money.
I'm curious about it anyway. I don't know. Like right now, it's too early on to see what the repercussions will be, and I'm not an expert in it. But something at least to keep an eye out on the news on that you track to see if it is going to affect anything like Riot Games or PoE or any of the Blizzard games or anything like that. I think it's mainly going to be TikTok is obviously the target goal here is affecting TikTok. But we'll have to see about our stuff.
I'm gonna buy all my Overwatch skins today then.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, we have some streamer stuff. Pokimane has been cyberbullied to the point where she's taking a whole month off of Twitch now. So that's what's going on there. A lot of people have been doing Poke Feet, and then they have like all sorts of like cyberbullying going on with that kind of thing. It's super weird. And then Dr. Disrespect has returned to YouTube now. So he is on YouTube, I guess, and he claims that he still doesn't know what's going on with it. So he's on
100% lying, right? Like, are we?
Yeah.
I think he knows the general reason, maybe not the to the T reason, but I think he does know the basic idea what's going on behind it. I can't believe anything else. It
mean, like he knows he violated Section 2C, but he doesn't know if he violated Section 2CI or 2C double I, right? Like,
yep.
He's fucking lying.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, he got 300,000 viewers for a 1 hour teaser stream. And then for his actual stream where he showed up, he had 535,000 people, 500,000 show up for his stream on YouTube, which
concurrent.
Yeah, I think the thing that's really interesting about this is now we have a large amount of streamers that are on YouTube. Like the Dr. Disrespect thing is old news. I mean, we knew he was coming back at some point. Where, maybe not. But now we have a lot of streamers that are actually on YouTube, kind of legitimizing the platform, you know?
What's crazy, what was the previous record? Was it Ninja and Drake on Twitch? Like, what's the highest concurrent anyone ever got on Twitch? Like 150,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was Ninja and Drake, I think was what it was.
No, Summit was 250 during Valorant.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
But 250 with a ridiculous marketing push to artificially inflate. Like, those weren't actually people who wanted to watch Summit. 150 of them were probably real viewers, and the other 100K were people who didn't know what the fuck like a Summit or a Valorant was.
Give me some drops.
Give me some drops.
Yeah, so 500, the amount of just from a platform, Doc is not that popular, right? He's not more popular than Ninja or Summit. Like, he might be a little bit more popular than Ninja now, but like Ninja in his heyday with Drake on his stream and shit like that, to have 4 times more people than that, that's a platform thing. That just shows how much more audience YouTube is capable of commanding than Twitch is, don't you think?
You're talking about the back-to-back 1993, 1994 blockbuster games. He didn't do it 1 year, and then 4 years later, he did it again. He did it consecutively, back-to-back. And you're trying to say that he's not that popular?
Not as popular as Ninja.
Someone's saying Ninja had 600,000 with Drake. Did he really? I thought he only had like 150. Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong then. I thought that he was getting like way higher numbers than these Twitch streamers got. But maybe
back. But to a serious response is, yeah, YouTube is the 3rd largest website in the world. And so it's there. And having legitimate, brand name, some of the best streamers in the world, the best streamer in the world on your platform, legitimizing the platform is probably, I get what you're saying. It legitimizes the live streaming part of it, where it's already literally king of the websites in general. And so channeling that into there is going to make Google and YouTube just even more popular for entertainment.
I mean, and the other thing I'm trying to get at here is that a huge portion of the people that were watching Doc must have just been people who don't watch live streams, but they watched this one because it was on YouTube, because it was on a platform that they already knew, right? Like, these are just regular YouTubers who keep hearing about this thing, and it's probably being advertised on YouTube, or it's probably, being recommended in some way. And so he's getting a huge number of people who probably this is the first time they've ever watched a gaming stream in their life. That's my guess.
Probably pretty close.
Yeah, I'm really curious about because I think this is going to make it where a lot of people, when they think of Twitch streaming, they're going to be like, why would I ever to try to go become a Twitch partner when I can just do YouTube? I can make YouTube videos when I want, and then turn on a Twitch stream once a month and have a ton of viewers there, or turn on a YouTube stream.
I think this is going to be the competition that we've been waiting for, that we're hoping Mixer would introduce to make Twitch and specifically our partner contracts way more competitive, instead of just own your shit.
Dude, YouTube, it doesn't look too bad, man. That super chat thing, even though they take a cut of it, that looks like some cozy money. Like, that's a lot cleaner than, having to set up our own third-party alerts for everything.
They got a long way to go on the platform for live streaming stuff, but they've got a good foundation. I agree with you.
What I like about YouTube is you have higher quality bitrate. You have
Do you?
Oh yeah, you can go up to 4K streaming. If your PC can handle it, you just crank that baby up, bro.
You can go way higher than 4K on Twitch, homie.
4K streaming?
Bitrate? Yeah, I used to stream like 10K.
No, I'm talking about like actual 4K resolution. Yeah, and then you can stream at like something like, it's like, I think 20,000 bitrate or something like that for 4K.
Who the fuck would stream in 4K? If you stream in 4K, I'm sorry, but you're an asshole.
I would stream. I mean, I can stream in 1440p. Like, I can stream 1440p at 120 FPS right now. But Twitch can't do that. And so that's something that, if you do have the capabilities for, that's an advantage there, and the quality overall. The thing I like about Twitch, though, is the culture. The culture is just better on Twitch. It just is. You have a bunch of core gamers. It's just better at Twitch.
Is it though?
It has a better culture. It really does. I feel like when you're on YouTube, you don't. It's You don't have the same emojis that you have on Twitch. You don't have a lot of the things. If you can start getting better Twitch TV on YouTube and start doing that kind of thing, then I think that could bleed over and the culture could bleed a lot better. Because that's, at least for the bigger streamers, the better Twitch TV emotes and the crossover there is just too big of a part to really leave behind for most people. Now, this doesn't, I think for us, the smaller directories like Black Desert doesn't have anything, but
I don't think emotes, like the emotes are a platform thing. Culture is like how people interact with you and like inside jokes and like people spamming, you know, racist emotes whenever there's like a black guy on the screen. Like, I don't think that Twitch's culture is anything
that's not good.
in the slightest. If anything, you know, YouTube is such a huge website. You're going to have that mix. There's definitely going to be toxic elements to it. But to say Twitch has a better culture than YouTube overall, like, that's going to be a big no from me.
So in my experience with YouTube and YouTube comments and stuff is it's the third most popular website in the world. And so anytime you get the masses, you get like just, especially when you don't have to see them in public, you get just the dumbest people who don't know how to spell commenting on shit. So I think there's definitely a difference in culture because Twitch is built around gaming and YouTube is just what everybody watches. So,
Right.
But I think the culture on Twitch is inherently extremely toxic, and I think didn't you just bring up that Pokebane's taking a break from Twitch because of being cyberbullied? Like
on Twitch, there's a certain amount of culture that's being reflected by the streamer, or rather on YouTube, there's a certain amount of culture that's being reflected by the content. So if you have a toxic creator or like a very controversial creator, you're going to have very controversial comments. But if you have like a smart, wholesome content creator on YouTube, if you have someone who's like talking about real shit, the comment section for the most part is like very good. It's very smart. Like they can cultivate good communities. It's almost impossible to cultivate a good community on Twitch once you're above a certain size. I would actually say it is impossible. Even if you look at someone like Dr. K's streams, his chat is a fucking cesspool. And he's like probably one of the most mature, wholesome people on the platform could even imagine having. But his chat is horrendous.
Bro, my chat is amazing. They are very good people. We have very little toxic people because I banned all the toxic people.
You have 10,000.
You squeal like a pig if somebody says fuck.
Yeah, you can have a great community on Twitch if you have 200 viewers, but if you have 2,000, it's impossible. Your chat sucks no matter what you do at that point.
Yeah, maybe it's maybe a little harder.
On YouTube, that's not the case.
I don't have 2,000 viewers right now, so I
tens of thousands
can't really
hundreds
judge on
of
that one.
millions of people watching, and you can still have a decent community if you cultivate it. You can't cultivate a good community on Twitch above a certain size. The platform itself is toxic.
I don't know if we can really say with confidence that YouTube is better, because when you have 500,000 people, you can't even read it anyway. But I don't know.
They've got like two streamers.
I will say this: for my personal taste, I like the YouTube community. I like the YouTube community less than I like the Twitch community. That's just my personal bias, though. I think our people might find it the opposite, and so Yeah.
Well, I like Marlon more than I like you.
Ouch.
Whoa.
Wait. That's fine. I'm fine with that. He looks better than me too. That's basically the news. That's basically the news. I don't think I have anything else. Is there anything else you guys want to cover?
I really need a massage.
I can cover that.
I got one, actually. I got 2 massages
At once?
last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Is this like a threesome joke?
No, I got a massage last week and I got another one this week. They were both really nice.
Oh, man, I need one so bad.
Got nothing else to do or spend money on, so why not?
I'm proud of you. I think that's it.
Yeah, all right. I think that was a good podcast. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So that was episode 12 of Nerds and Words. Potion Shop, Moreland TV. Thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun as always. If you guys got any special content planned for this week, give it a little shout out real quick before we close it up.
I'm gonna be grinding a whole bunch of Histria, trying to make like 2 billion a day, so I can get my pin begs. So that'll be what I've been doing. If you guys need any help or questions or anything, you can ask me anything at any time, and I'll do my best to answer your question.
What you got, Mara?
I'm going to be pushing to 100 billion so I can buy Biohack's Black Star, and also trying to finish Ghost of Tsushima before Mortal Shell comes out, because I'm probably going to go pretty hard on Mortal Shell starting on the 18th. So, but I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more next week when it's closer to it.
That'll be good.
Cool. And for me, I'm probably going to get back on the silver grind. I need to enhance a pen Kudum so it has my name on it. So I'm going to be working towards that and finishing up 5K quest. I've made a ton of progress on my character, and I just keep going. But I'm in a little bit of a lull, just doing some quests and regrouping, playing a little bit of Overwatch as well. So tune in, hang out, and watch me yell at strangers. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll catch you next week. Nerds and Words on Spotify, Potion Shop's YouTube, my YouTube, and we're live on each other's Twitches. Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Have a wonderful and blessed day, everybody.